Let me know when you're ready to go and I'll call it to order. That's awesome. All right. So, on that note, the meeting is called to order at 6:04 p.m. Which is a minute earlier than we usually started. So I'm very proud of us today. So we'll start with the territorial acknowledgement as always. The Board of Directors acknowledges that the University of Waterloo is on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples. Our organization operates on the Haldeman Tract, land promised to 6 nations, which includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. So I don't have very long opening remarks this time, and by that I mean I haven't had any to prepare. So I think I'll start with just reiterating some of the stuff that we hear every time, which is that if possible, I would like us to remain concise with the points that we're trying to make today. We have a lot on our agenda. It may vary in time depending on certain things that may come up, but try and remain concise, especially if you're someone who talks a lot in meetings anyways. I do not want to see, I'm not pointing to anyone here. I do not want to see hands up just gone to be like, I agree with the person who just spoke. It's not very helpful. We're looking for new points here. I also do ask that that you forgive me if I'm a little bit slower today than I usually am. I am very tired. But if you guys notice that I make any mistakes, please let me know so that I can correct them. So I just want it known that it is more likely that happens today than in the past. And if it does, please don't be afraid to let me know that I've made that mistake. I'll also just go to the people online. There's not too many, but if you put your hand up, it is helpful. If you put in the chat, if it is a 1 or 2, it helps me put those together. Now, on that front, we do have agenda approval here, but we do have an emergency kind of last minute motion that was put forward. Esther, do you have the motion, or was that put in the agenda?
No.
No. That would be nice. Yes.
Not to be a policy person. I don't think it needs 2/3 new business.
That is. Thank you. That is true. So Esther, should we wait until new business? I kind of just want to put it on the agenda into the new, and then we'll do 2/3 now. Okay, perfect. That makes sense. I like that better.
I can send in the chat.
Well, I think Esther's on it, right? So I'll give it a second, but then I'll give a little bit of a justification for why it's coming this time, because I was hoping to actually bring this motion next time, and then I looked at the time and it makes sense. But I'll give it a second. I'm looking at the wrong chat.
What chat?
I get it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you, Samir, for reiterating what Esther has posted. But for those who may watch this video, the motion at hand is a Bill 33 stance motion in opposition to the section of Bill 33 focus on post-secondary student associations. Well, it doesn't explicitly state it, but it's pretty clear what it is targeting. The reason that this is being brought forward this meeting and not next meeting is because initially the plan was to bring it to APC and then do it that way. But the next meeting of board will likely be after Bill 33, well, at the very least after Parliament re-begins its sessions, which means that Bill 33 might have already gone to a vote by next board meeting. So it's being brought straight to board and just done that way. So I'm going to go to a vote on whether or not we approve the addition of this into the agenda. This is not a vote on whether or not you agree with the motion, just on whether it should be in the agenda. I'll just start. All those in favor of including this in the agenda? Okay, well, that's unanimous. So we'll take it at that. And perfect. And Esther, I assume that means we'll just put it at the end?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. With that, we are on to the consent motions, which includes approval of the public minutes from last board meeting, as well as an appointment to the Advocacy Positions Committee. Do we have any objections to the consents? Okay, perfect. With that, we'll move on to presentations, of which we have none. No unfinished business. On to new business. So we are left with 5.1, approval of amended elections and referenda procedures. This was submitted on behalf of the ERC, which is chaired by Mike. Mike, is it something that you can kind of give us a little bit of a recap about this motion?
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I just need to turn my microphone on because I'm usually not on the live stream. Okay, so Esther's going to quickly pan through the document only to the changed bits, and I'm just going to talk to each of them. This first comment is just aligning it with the board procedure manual, which calls for 30 days prior to the commencement date of any electoral event as the buffer for any changes to the elections procedures. The procedures themselves only usually said no changes to the procedures can happen during an electoral event. So this is aligning it to the 30 days before. I don't know what Rory's comment is. Roy, did you want to speak to it?
Want me to speak to it?
Sure.
I guess it was just a piece of the way that it's currently written, and this might be a bit pedantic, but it's just that it's now saying that you can not amend it 30 days up until the commencement date of the election, but then once the election is started, you can.
Oh.
Good point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not quite sure how to handle that. I guess because friendly amendments are not real. But yeah, go ahead.
How about 30 days prior or during the any active electoral event? So 30 days prior or during, and then do the any active electoral event, unless other sections actually right first mention.
No.
Commencement date has to be.
Or during after commencement date of.
Yeah.
I'll leave a little discussion to figure it out. Then we'll do just a regular, like,
Speaking of friendly,
consent. Yeah. Well,
someone needs to move this because Mike can't move.
that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I assume you're moving.
Sure.
Can I have a seconder? Thank you. Any objections? Good. I would have lost it. Okay.
So
Yes.
clarify, the overall motion itself was brought by Mike on behalf of ERC. He can't bring a motion, like he can't move a motion forward.
That's why you moved it.
Okay, I thought you said I'm moving the amendment. Because otherwise you just pass the whole otherwise you just pass the whole motion.
No, that's not. It's just,
Yeah.
But that is a solid point. That this ERC is weird for this reason. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll just go through it and have a motion at the very end with everything as amended. It's kind of weird. It works. So we'll just do it that way. Okay, perfect. When I kick back to you.
Thank you.
We're just working out the new wording, maybe.
I just threw something in the chat in case that helps.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, commencement is a fun word, but too many letters if we don't need it. Thank you. Thanks for that point, Rory. Scrolling down. Thank you, Esther, for controlling everything. Samir made some notes on what is realistically in the nomination package. And we do ask for more than just these things, but these things are at least quoted as a minimum. So That was some of my explanation, but just clarifying that we don't need legal and preferred because there's enough ways for us to tell the exact identity of anybody running anyway. So just making sure that we have first and last names is best, and another note about addresses that we fixed.
I just quickly want to tell the room that if there's something that you see during this from the changes sections, put your hand up during, because it's easier to just go like that instead of at the very end. And then if there's something that needs to be changed that's not part of the things that are being changed, we can discuss that at the very end. Okay, cool. Sorry. Continue.
Thanks. All right. So there were a number of things in past elections where sometimes candidates would ask the elections officers, so ERO and CRO, for clarification on rules. And maybe it resulted in them telling the candidates to submit an allegation. This is sort of a more simplified rule clarification that would then be communicated to all candidates that does not need to go as far as allegations, which could result in demerit points. So it's a bit more of a peaceful resolution than allegations are seen as very targeted and sort of that's the word I'm looking for, adversarial sometimes. So allegations still functioning, but this is more of something that clarification of an interpretation. This wording was added just because normally the CRO is part of the governance manager's job. So if the governance manager is on leave or not available to fulfill the role of CRO, in the past, somebody has been hired. So just putting that language in there to cover off that case.
Shut it down.
Yeah. I'll explain that a little bit. So shall and may. So we changed when it came to polling booths. So we used to run polling booths before we had fully online voting. We have decided it is not realistic that we've run actual polling booths every hour of the election for a few elections since the COVID years anyway. So we just opened it up to say there may be polling clerks and polling booths, but it is not a necessity. Usually our polling booths function from the promo team having a booth that might move around campus during the election to publicize that the elections are happening and sharing a QR code there. The only other function that polling booths and polling clerks served in the past was if somebody could not vote online, if they were blocked from the voters list, they could sort of do a quasi-absentee ballot that would only be counted if it was relevant towards the end. With how our voting system works, it is harder to manually enter an absentee ballot, and it is much easier to just have that student email the elections officers to prove that they are an eligible student member and do have the ability to vote, and the IT team can turn around manually giving them voter access, usually within 12 hours. So that is how we resolve any situations that used to occur and used to require polling booths.
We do have a question from Samir.
More of a comment is to confirm we may still run a physical one at Turnkey during some hours. Is that the plan, or?
I'd say probably more the promo team at a booth in Vendors Alley or Marketplace, with a laptop there in case somebody does not have a device on them, but usually guiding people to vote.wusa.ca on their own devices.
Okay, for Turnkey.
Turnkey's got a lot to do. Okay, stop here real quick, Esther. So, this might open up a side conversation. I wanted to highlight it. There was some wording in here. It read sorry, it was suggested wording, because there's been questions around if clubs should be allowed to endorse candidates or campaigns. We brought some wording to the elections committee, and they found it reasonable to let clubs sort of be a channel for student voices. So they took out the suggested wording, but the suggested wording was receiving funding and staff volunteer promotional or material support from clubs, external political advocacy organizations or external unions associations. So just sort of throwing clubs in there and promotional in there. But that was nixed by the committee. So there, I guess, Damien, I'll leave it up to you. Would you like to have a discussion now or at the end? And we'll go through all the changes.
If this wasn't something that was suggested for change, it'll go through the regular process, where at the very end, if someone thinks it's worth bringing up, they can bring it up.
Sure.
So we'll stick with the
like
regular
that.
change.
Okay.
I have a question, clarification.
For clarification?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as Tony said, groups like WUSA, CFS, QP can't endorse.
Right.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Well,
That is a significant problem at other schools that do not have as well-guarded elections, so I'm happy that we do. This wording was added just based on the annual members motion for an accessibility fund and accommodations around that. So anybody requiring accommodations through limits defined by the Ontario Human Rights Code can apply for up to $200. So this was added based on some of the conversations that came up in that annual members meeting last year. Effectively, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Go ahead.
well, I would usually let you finish. This.
Oh, let Mike finish.
Okay, is it a 3 or is it like a?
I want to make a comment.
Okay,
I think
then yeah. We'll
I'll
Mike first.
let Rory make the comment because it's probably what I was
What?
about to say anyway.
So close. It's Aria.
Thanks.
But okay, sure. We'll let Aria make the comment.
Thank you. So I don't take time later. For the record, I want to note it in the minutes that I think this will not resolve any real accessibility issues.
Okay,
Okay.
it's in the minutes.
All your minutes.
I can live now.
Also on video, so you're done.
Any other
All right.
hands? No. We'll keep scrolling.
No. We're good. So wait, can I just ask that we don't pass them around until after this item? Okay, but yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Go to vote.
All right.
At the end of this item, we'll.
This next change you'll see in pink text is just based on a situation last year where a candidate sort of collected enough nominations for 2 positions that they could not run for concurrently. But once the campaign period started, they decided to switch the position they were running for. This wording was just added to outline that is not allowed going forward. It was more just like a lack of clarification before. Seeing no input?
No
Good.
comments.
Thank you. More polling stations, clarification. Okay. Samir raised this point, and I agreed. It said in random order or alphabetical order. I think we almost exclusively randomize ballots now, so we took alphabetical out because to clear that option. And then I don't think we have printed out election results to be stored in a non-electronic medium, so we took that section out as well.
Don't.
Yes, sorry. Just clarifying.
This wording is just based on the fact that with the faculty guarantee, it's not necessarily a specific BC STV system that we use, so I just said it is modified. More conversations are happening with IT as to the algorithms they use for STV and making sure that they are fair. So that's like in the weeds operational, and we'll continue to have that chat between the committee and the programmers of the election platform. All right, we took out recall referendums as a concept in this procedure, so some of these changes are just to change that, and then general meeting now called members meeting.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Sammy, go ahead.
I kind of said in the comments here, but I don't think it was changed in the actual things, is if we aren't defining petitions currently in our bylaws, I think with us coming up to an election with the current bylaws into effect, we should edit it here, or the board should amend the bylaws, because right now, if someone wants to do a petition tomorrow, this number isn't defined in the bylaws right now. And second part, again, I think I said the section before, is 12.2 BI, a little bit below. If you scroll down a little bit, it's in the section. I have a side comment there where exempting requisitions or petitions for referenda from membership shall normally be called for any matter that can be reasonably considered approved by the board. I think technically board can approve a lot of stuff, and if board wants the input of the membership on the stuff, there should be allowed to be a referendum on stuff that board can normally do. Like, we shouldn't limit to referenda to stuff that's outside of board's purview, if you get what I mean. I would like that section maybe removed.
Okay, well, that's a whole conversation, ain't it? Okay, we'll take a second. I guess that's an amendment. Do you want to move that amendment so we can have a discussion on it?
Yeah, I will. I'll move it to strike I and replace A with, was it, that's 2900, whatever the number is in another section. So a petition by 2900 members.
No, 2900.
A.
Sorry, 2900's further is defined in this procedure, right down here.
Yes, but right now it's saying as defined in the bylaws. But requisition or petition. Okay, I don't know how to word it then. Maybe just because we aren't defining what a requisition or petition is anywhere.
Okay, if we just cross out that as defined in the bylaw.
Sure. Just because if a student goes to look at this and then goes looking to the bylaws, it's not in there.
So go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Esther.
No, just like say because the petition and requisition bit is already captured down in the document. So reference to bylaws, like you're saying, it's not defined in the bylaws, it's already captured.
It's defined in policy. Yeah.
Right?
Okay, no.
Yeah, so we can just cross out that part that says as defined in the bylaws because it's not defined.
Okay, so I just want to be very clear. The only thing we're changing is as defined in the bylaws?
Yes, and then also striking out I.
So I's, okay. Are these not two different topics or just?
If you want to split the vote, sure.
Yeah, they should be separate.
Yeah. Well, the second one's gonna be so easy. So let's just stick with the important one, which is I. So motion to confirm, the motion is to strike. What's the specific?
As defined in the bylaws.
We'll start with the big.
Okay, to strike 12.2 B subsection I.
12.2 B subsection I. Do we have a seconder? Second by Aria. I'll look for discussion on this. I saw Sheen, was that a second or you want to discuss? Okay. Yes, Suzanne, go ahead.
Ask Esther to explain what this does and if it's removed, what it means then.
So for this part about the referendum, sorry, this exempting whatever.
Yeah, so right now, what does it accomplish and why is it there? And then if we remove it, what does it mean?
Yeah, I was hoping that they would discuss this as well because I do. Oh, okay.
All right. So I just want to bring things back as well and remind you, I will call on you to speak. I'm seeing us slowly start to fade away from that. So let's bring it back. First hand I saw was Rory. So go ahead.
I guess I'm also trying to understand this. What does this have to do with B, the part above? Because that talks about almost the societies, right? So the Constitution, societies, governing document.
Yeah.
Samir,
go ahead.
So if you read the other subsections 2, 3, and 4, they also don't relate to B. So it's weird it's under B as subsections, but these are all, it seems like, general principles for referenda, also kind of elections, because the second one's, this is referenda. I think these are all just referenda rules.
So can I ask a clarification to Esther or Mike, whoever would have knowledge on this? Because when it's a subsection to something like B, my thought process might be, I read a referendum pertaining only to a constituency may only be initiated in accordance with the constitutions, societies, governing documents, blah, blah, blah. And then we talk about the referenda question. My thought process might be, oh, okay, then the exemption for referenda that can be considered or approved by board is only applies to referenda questions that are specific to a society. Is that correct? Or would this exemption be for all petitions, no matter how broad?
So, like you said, the B captures the kind of like excludes and restricts it to those that are within the constituency, not referendums generally that apply to reforms.
Okay, and just clarification, that constituency is only specific constituencies like societies, members at large, these would not be okay, thank you.
So, but if you read the other three sections, one of them's talking about officers or members of the corporation because about duties. One of them's talking about the chairperson of each committee, by committee, I think they mean team, having a list of non-armless parties. One of them's talking about how only members of the federation can vote. That makes no logical sense to only be about constituencies. I think the rest of them should apply to all referenda. So I don't know if I have to motion it separately to make this in an order, but I think like if you look at the top section, 12.2 is general rules for referenda.
Okay, we're gonna go to Rem first. So Arya, and then Ahmed, and then Roy. So we'll go.
Yeah, these are rules that should apply to all referenda.
Mhm.
If the interpretation is that by being under B, they only apply to society constituency referenda, then we need to move them out, I think.
Arya, did you still want to speak?
Yeah, I do want to say, I think we're going to ask ourselves, what's the benefit of keeping this versus removing it? I think something to keep in mind is board still will have none of the referendums are binding in the end of the day. Board still needs to authorize it, right? Am I correct in that? Yeah.
Yes.
So in the grants, it doesn't matter if it comes to board anyways.
So when you have a referendum,
I think we had this conversation. From my understanding, it was referendums are not binding, so board still has to say yes.
Okay.
Now, so there's no point because it comes to board anyway.
Just for clarification, Arya, you were saying that because of that, this doesn't make sense to be in here, or it does, or
I think
or we're discussing the amendment right now.
yes.
Yeah.
You want to cut it, right?
I would cut point I, yes.
What we call I think we should cut it. People can call their own referendas, but either way, if it's crazy, board can shut it down.
Ahmed?
Like people, if it's crazy, board should shut it down.
Move down speaking. I want to move.
All right. Martini? Sorry.
I'll withdraw, but I want to be moved to the bottom.
That's interesting. All right, I'll go. Is it okay if I go to Mike? Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
I see Samir's point about all these subpoints. Can I suggest the edit of just moving them back so I becomes C as general rules? Because you have a good point that they don't necessarily fall under that constituency piece.
So I'll just say this as an interpretation, and your whole issue is that, from my interpretation, was that I doesn't make sense as a rule, both for societies and
Correct.
like at all. It was the other sub points that may make sense for everything. So moving on. Moving I as to C would not be helpful in that situation, but some of the other ones.
What Mike means is move all these points to C, D, E, F, and then we got the discussion of if we wanted to remove I/C.
Can we just finish the I discussion first?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. If I can kind of recontextualize this, because I'll just go like a quick little straw poll just on an objection here, that if we agree that this I point should remain, it should remain for all referenda. Like, is that a fair assumption? If we agree that it should remain, it should be a point in itself, not a subpoint of B. Is that a fair? If you object to that, please put your hand up.
It wasn't. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Please repeat that.
It's just a quick straw poll.
Okay.
So right now we're discussing whether or not I should exist,
Mhm.
right? I is currently a subpoint of B.
Mhm.
But if we were to say, and this is not anyone saying this in particular, if we were to say that I should remain, the arguments that would be there for I remaining under B would also imply that it should exist as a point in itself. So not just for society referendum, for referenda as a whole. If we agree that logic applies there, it should apply to a whole. It would just make it easier because then we can just move it to C and discuss it as an item.
Can I clarify what
Yeah,
kind of thing?
if you can clarify.
So we are currently having the discussion of whether that rule should exist at all.
That's how I would like to have it, yes,
Okay.
as opposed to a subpoint.
We'll have the discussion about where it exists later.
I actually like that. I think that's a better way to put it. Yeah, that's a better process.
So can I begin discussion?
Mahan, so it was Roy, and then you put yourself at the bottom. Go ahead.
Okay, just to clarify, just of what Rem said, right now we're having a discussion whether or not point I should exist at all, and then we'll jump into discussion of where it should be.
Yeah, is everyone okay with that? Okay, perfect. Makes the process significantly easier.
I love governing.
Okay. Rory, would you like to speak on this?
Okay. My first point is, I guess, going to be recognizing the fact that we are now over time for this item. Would it not be worth sending it back potentially, like focusing on just the parts that are coming from the committee itself, sending this back to elections and referendum committee to focus on, like, if we identify any other issues, to have those discussions, so we're not having the discussion at board? Because the way that this conversation is now going, it sounds like it's going to be an hour-long conversation on elections and referendum procedure. I'm already grumpy because Damien's dying me my food. And then, like, we're all going to disagree. Like, I feel like just sending it back to elections and referendum, maybe focusing on the pieces that they've already approved. And like, that would be my feeling, I guess.
So,
Can I ask for clarity?
yeah, just put the 3 up in that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Is there a meeting at all for ERC scheduled, or is it more of an ad hoc thing?
Oh, if need be, we can tell them that there needs to be a meeting scheduled. So, and here's what I'll do, because I would agree with this idea. There seems to be enough time with this 30-day thing to handle this. Is that correct? That's a question to Mike. That to go back to ERC, that they talk about this and then come back here, right? Because next
Yes, it
meeting's October 29th. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I would agree with this strategy from Rory, but I would look for someone to motion it. Rory, would you like to put a motion forward?
What am I motioning?
We're in the middle of an amendment motion.
Yeah.
That's true. We'll have to take okay, we'll have to.
Withdraw.
Oh my God, I hate Robert's rules.
I can, no, I can postpone the amendment.
Sure. You know what? I'll pass it to my vice.
Can you do that?
Isn't it?
Guys, everybody, let's calm. We actually have a fantastic resource here, Sandra. You can help us out here.
I think we just deal with it right now.
What I'm going to tell you that you are having a great conversation. What you need to do, and you can decide, you can put everything on hold, send it back to RC to take a look at the question that you've raised. So Damien, in a way, I'm telling you to just put Robert's rules aside a little bit. You're making the right decision to go forward, and you can bring back the minutes later. As long as everybody's comfortable with it.
That's true. It is true. We don't have to stick super strictly to Robert's rules here. So I think that is.
I should rescind my motion.
You can send your amendment objection to that. I will pass it to you, Ram. I will just say, I think the best way to do it then would be, because we have those instructions, we can do the rest of it and then see if there's anything else that needs to be sent back with the instructions. Everything else would be, we'd request it remains the same. And then they just focus on the issues we sent back. Ram.
I was going to motion to pass ERC with reviewing section 12.2.b of ERPs.
Can we just wait till the end?
Yeah, can we wait? So I didn't note it
So
down.
that's what yeah.
2.B is one that we want to review.
I just want to clarify, board will get a chance to pass any proposed amendments to the section before the next election.
That is correct. It would not, they can't pass a motion themselves. So, okay, so I think on that note, we'll move on. Just for interpretation, we can get rid of this by itself, right? Yeah, the bylaw part, we can get rid of it.
Are we gonna go through this entire thing first and then move on to the next agenda?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe she's also.
Yeah, even with, so we can send them back more specific instructions, so we don't have to keep doing this back and forth. So I imagine that we could relatively simply by unanimity, can we get an amendment to strike as defined in the bylaws? Can we get an amendment? Thank you. Can I get a seconder? Okay, I'll give it to Roy. Any who object to striking as defined in the bylaws? No, good. So that's struck. Okay, let's right back to you, Mike. Back to you.
So this is where we put the 2900 number because it was only under the recall referenda section before. So making sure it serves for every petition process for referenda. So just adding it here for that clarification.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
Can I talk?
Well, you already interrupted him. Go ahead.
I only want to task ERC to here. I do think we should review the 2900 number. I do believe it is a bit that formally a bit excessive. I was gonna have a discussion here. This seemed like board would not like to do that right now, so maybe you could go to next board meeting for a discussion.
Like I'm only just gonna let Skylar. He's got a 3 up.
This is just a point.
Yeah.
Mike, we didn't go over the recall referenda being removed. We went over a point earlier, but we didn't go over the specific sections of any of those. We literally only went over a wording being removed. We didn't go over this actual section being removed. We go over anything.
Oh, like why it was removed?
Yeah, we didn't go over it at all.
Just because it's sort of older language from when it was council. And I think the legal perspective is recall referenda cannot be called on directors. Directors can only be removed by members meeting. So like a special members meeting can be called to remove a director. But I think under ANCA, a referenda cannot immediately remove a director.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that.
Okay. I'm going to pass this to Mohammed, and then I'll just get a vibe from the room about whether or not we should discuss it now or at the next board meeting on Samir's motion. Go ahead, Mohammed.
I would say there's definitely needs to be a discussion there, and also on the bar and SMM for the purpose of moving a director. I think both conversations can be had simultaneously and you parallel. I will say, just to jump in early, I don't think we necessarily have to have that conversation right now.
Yeah. Can I?
I had a proposed amendment, but okay.
Is it okay, Samir, if we do a little straw poll to see if we should discuss it? Because we will discuss it. We discussed it this meeting or next meeting.
Yeah.
As a reminder, next meeting may not be short as well. So like this like we don't know what next meeting looks like, but it could be worth noting that we are probably going to be over time, if not already over time for this section. So take that into account. Are these relevant to the straw poll? Okay. Rory first.
Me first? Okay, I guess my broad question is like, you've noted that this will be coming back to board. My question is why this conversation not happening at ERC, or is it that important that they be having board conversations?
So if a board member wants to discuss something, they can. That's from my end, but it's go ahead, Samir.
My argument, like ERC is about kind of how the election is run and the details of it. This comes down to like what board thinks is like a threshold to call it. That's more of a board discussion than ERC discussion in my mind. Just because it's threshold to call a petition. If it was details of how petitions are collected or that stuff, I would see ERC. I would think like it's appropriate for board to have that discussion.
Archie?
I do agree on Samir's point, but a tad that I think should be discussed at ERC first because this is kind of thing, but it should be brought to board once it's kind of thought through and read through the ERC first.
You mentioned. Sandra?
Just some general guidance and a reminder that your committees provide recommendations to use. They do the deeper dive. So if they haven't given a rationale or you're questioning it, it is okay to send it back to the committee rather than having the debate.
Yeah.
All I'll say is like I already have a proposed change to this, so I just want to send it to the committee. I don't know if they'll come back with something else. I have a proposed change, but it's up to you. I'll leave
I
it.
want that to get in the way of reading process.
Yeah.
Ram, go ahead.
I see not what I was going to say, but I see the argument for both having ERC discuss it or having board decide it. What I was going to say is my preference for having this discussion next meeting is not because we don't have time today. It's because this is a big change that we didn't have time to think about ahead of time for it to be raised right now and for us to have that discussion.
Mike, is this important enough, or can I just do a straw poll of the room to see about moving it to next meeting? Or this, is that okay? I'd like that.
Sure, like it's gonna come back to next meeting anyway, is sort of what I'm saying. So if you're gonna send Samir's recommendations down to the committee, they should be discussed by that committee before they're brought to board next meeting anyway. Does that make sense? Like
yes,
aligning the
yes,
efficiency of the committee?
I will agree, Mike, but the idea is that whatever we discuss here, we probably don't rediscuss. Nothing has changed when it comes back. That would be my somewhat imperative when it comes back next meeting. But I do see that point. That is true. Can I please just do the straw poll? Is that okay? Thank you. All those in favor of doing it this meeting? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all those in favor of doing it next meeting? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 second, I really messed that up. Okay, it wins. Go ahead.
My point is, sort of just in line with Mike saying they're sending these back to ERC for it to come back next meeting. I would also propose that directors here attend the ERC meeting and contribute to the discussion there in order to make next meeting easier for us.
Sure. That's a solid thing to say. And as a reminder, directors are always able to go attend those meetings. But yes, okay, perfect. We can move on. Mike, it's back to you.
Thank you. Scrolling past this section, because I feel like that is going to be talked about another time. I think that might be it for changes. What was this? Oh, Samir suggested taking out this section. I do think it's important just because it's not just our past referenda questions. Like we do a lot of research on other schools that have done referenda based on similar topics. So I think it's important to keep that in there when it comes to sort of that broader research in understanding what is important.
Mohammed?
Yeah. My question is generally on constitutional referenda. Sorry, for constituency referenda. How is that in practice? Because to my knowledge, the referenda documents for at least the Engineering Society have no mention of any corresponding communication with WUSA. So has that been done in practice?
Is it okay if I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
We assist in their elections processes if and when needed. We also take a look at everybody's constitution and procedures to make sure that they are in line with fairness that we would expect. If there's anything that is not, then we would sort of work with the society leadership to see if there's any changes that can be brought in sake of fairness.
Yeah, so one final thing then. So like point B, all referenda of the constituency society maybe. Ooh. So I'm interested in the word like maybe. So does that imply if the board suspects something amiss, then an item will be brought to board and board can refuse to ratify? I mean, I'm just wondering about the wording there. Ratification of referenda results, part B. That's B.
Yes.
What are these? Oh, that's
Can you talk about your
Like
point
jump?
more? I don't know if I understand.
Did I jump points? Or are we still in that section?
Ask your question.
Sure. So ratification of referenda results, part B. So all referenda of the constituency society may be ratified by the board. However, such referenda. Oh, okay. So now that we've scrolled down, I see the however. Okay.
Cool. All right, we should be good to go then, Line. As a reminder, read the documents.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Okay, perfect. So now that we're at the end, I did promise this. Is there anything that we think might need to be sent back to ERC? I mean, or anything that we wanted to discuss at the end that wasn't included in the changes? This is not a request that you do it. It's just that I know there may have been interest, but otherwise we'll leave it. Mohammed?
So I will admit, when working on the NSOF elections document, I might have used some of the wording from this. One of the changes we actually made when we looked at this was under the section about sort of the demerit points. There was a part about what is it? When you directly provide a method of voting to a voter. I feel like that I would want more description of what exactly that means. Does that mean handing like a logged in phone to someone and say, or like a phone to someone and saying, oh, here, like vote, and then, you know, like pressuring someone in that regard? Like, I feel like that can mean a couple of different things, and I would like clarification, because even when I was running, I wasn't sure exactly what that meant, unless I'm alone with that.
That's a 2. Okay, yeah. So.
My interpretation of it was like, yeah, you can't have the logged in device on the page over your name. But if you tell them vote.wusa.ca or provide a QR code on their own device and aren't like hovering over them when they're voting, that's fine. You can tell them the URL is, you can give them a QR code. You just can't be actively like, here's my name, click here on the device or whatever. That's my interpretation of it.
That's great. Can I just say, because Mike is the de facto CRO here. Mike, what your interpretation was?
Oh, just I'd say reasonable. Like, we're not going to get mad at anybody for directing people to vote.wusa.ca. So that is the very much promoted method of voting. It would be like beyond reasonable excuse of sort of cheating methodology.
You know what? I'd almost say, just for the sake, because there will be another ERC meeting, for any other changes, like even including this, come to the ERC meeting. Is that okay? Can we do that? Okay, perfect. That makes sense. I like that. All right. On that note, yes, go ahead.
I do want to ask if we can talk about the clubs thing, because that's like a comment from the current slate of changes. That's like, do you want to do this or not?
I did ask board.
Same.
ERC actually.
So it seems like ERC has already discussed this, and then they decided on like as was discussed, they decided on allowing clubs. And so the question would be whether or not we want to rediscuss it. Samir?
I think my clarification is on Mike's comment there. It is not allowing clubs themselves, allowing club leaders to have personal endowments rather than the way of the whole club. And the question to the board is, do we want it so clubs themselves through maybe a democratic process? Because again, there's a weird interpretation of it in the past. Like, can clubs themselves, under this current wording, endorse, or is it the leader of the club, like the comment on Mike on the side?
Okay, I'm just gonna direct this to Mike because the description we got from you, Mike, my interpretation was that clubs could endorse. Is that correct? What's going on?
There is so a more explicit language was added to this and pitched to the committee, and the committee retreated on that language. So they did not want to close off clubs from endorsing. The discussion led to maybe promoting best practices in the lead up and during the campaign period, which included sort of encouraging club leaders to personally endorse people, and for candidates to have like pages where they could have the listed endorsements, so that there wouldn't be people coming out of the woodwork endorsing them that they did not want endorsements from. So effectively, operationally, the committee came up with suggestions of communicate best practices with candidates, which can be done during candidate training sessions. So outside of this procedure, but the procedure-related decision they made was to remove language directing that clubs could not endorse.
Okay, that did feel meaningfully different than what was explained here initially, but I'll hand this to Samir.
To clarify, if we went forward no changes, the way you would operationally do it is that clubs themselves could not endorse, but the club leaders as individuals could endorse, but also the people could have a page where they reject it. Am I correct in that understanding?
The committee recommended to not explicitly say clubs cannot endorse, but to sort of communicate best practices.
I question.
Yeah. And those best practices would recommend club leaders to personally endorse. So we would not shut the door on clubs endorsing, but
that's different.
Yeah.
Clubs endorsing and club leaders personally endorsing are two different things to me.
Okay. I see the vice chair of ERC with her hand up, so.
Mine is correct in this description. What I would say when we were discussing this, the idea is that we would bring it up again at the next meeting too, for like further discussion. I would say we can kind of just leave it as is for next ERC meeting to discuss further in depth about what language we want, so we don't have to circle up.
Sure. So I think it's, on that note, if it was already planned to come back to ERC, I will say that I don't know why this was brought forward, because there are assumptions that are being made here based off of this. But I would say maybe then the best move is we can all go to ERC. Forgive me. We can all go to ERC and have a discussion there. I would recommend that it's made very clear to board members when the next ERC meeting is, since there seems to be a decent amount of interest in the topic. That does not mean that you are expected to go to ERC. Seriously, you are not expected to go to ERC, but if you want to go to ERC, you can. It should be relatively easy for board members to know when the next ERC meeting is. Is that okay? Okay. Clubs endorsements are part of that. Okay, cool. Anything else? Or can I summarize what ERC is going to be expected to take back with them? Okay, cool. So the two things that we had to comment on, well, three things, I guess, were 12.2b, was it 2bi, I believe?
Oh,
well, it's 2b, it was the whole of 2b.
It's the content of 2bi and the positioning of everything under 2b.
What's that?
I to Ivy.
So that's just the whole of 2b. Yeah. So I think I'll just say review 2b, 12.2b, including the positioning of the subpoints, and the validity of 12.2bi as a whole. So that's one of the instructions. And the second instruction is, no, we already got rid of 12.3a, right? Yeah, so the second actual one was on clubs endorsements. Those are the 2 points.
And at 2,900.
Oh, and yeah.
That's 12.3a.
I don't remember.
I'm just gonna say that the referendum threshold.
12.3, yeah.
Okay, so as final summary, review 12.2b, including the positioning of the subpoints, and validity of 12.bi as a whole. And then also review clubs endorsements and their validity and the process, as well as the threshold for referendum. Those are the three things that we are tasking back. We are not saying ERC cannot review the other things. It's just that we do not expect them to. Are we happy with that? Okay. I guess I need a real motion for that, don't I? That's my, is that motion understood? Okay. Can I have a second for that motion? Remington? I'm gonna just go straight to a vote if that's okay. All those in favor? Asking the ERC? Okay. Oh, cool. It's unanimous. Perfect. Oh, sir. Oh, I apologize.
No, I'm in favor. I'm in favor. I'm in favor.
Good favor.
I forgot to raise my hand.
Democracy. Democracy in action, folks. All right.
Guys, don't lynch me. Don't lynch me, please.
No, there we go. There we go. We're good. So ERC's been tasked with that, and we can.
Point of order.
Yeah, go
We
ahead.
get to eat now?
Yes. We
will impeach you.
move on to the next point, but before the next point, I say we distribute board
Some people are
food.
eating.
Um,
Some people are eating.
I withheld because I don't have my own food, so
Switch up still.
Someone got Chesco.
I didn't get Chaska.
Oh my God.
I can't eat Todd.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll stop when you're done.
I'll
disagree.
It's the purpose of the vice chair.
So-
There to support.
Yeah, well, not doing it.
Jerome, get food. Give it to him and get food.
If only.
I will motion to remove you as chair. Get food.
Look like they want that. I'm gonna keep it. Because the next one is dovetail.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna turn off my camera for a second so I can go warm up some food.
You know, come on. Can you let us know when you're back, right?
Look at motion.
I'll bring my computer with me.
That one. Thank you, good sir. No, governance reform committee saw this.
Fantastic. Try taking minutes while eating. Got it.
Yeah, no,
Thing where they
They
put an acid on the food.
But board also authorized.
Internet, so it might not be true.
Okay, thank you.
We're saying a lot about.
That was the whole.
I think the president needs to make a policy. I think the president needs to make a policy on how it works at board meeting.
Yeah, so
What is proper notice?
I need to know when it's coming, so I can tell you to just leave it on the side.
We're live. You just keep going.
Pepsi, but
I was gonna say, I just don't want it being distributed as we're talking.
20 minutes over, by the way.
I don't like.
We all knew it was happening.
You tell
Yeah.
We all know the line.
Hey, let's be more concise with the next topics, huh? Let's believe in us.
Can you hear before?
I don't want to do that.
The orders are changing.
You asked me.
Oh, right.
Okay, that's fine. I'll object. I'm happy to.
Okay, my president.
I want pizza, gonna give you the birthday.
I'm up with it.
I'll be honest. I still feel. Well, I still feel pleased about it. About the motion.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So we make it explicit thing about reform committee will be that of the current.
Oh, you want to keep it?
The membership, just move the membership over. I just want, yes, just move the membership over for now. Because right now I realize it's not explicit in my motion.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, but the membership is supposed to be the same. Oh, because it was renamed, that's why I assumed I didn't have to say that. Yeah.
My grace. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Can you just, whatever, I'll
Are you moving the amendment or am I?
be, you are.
That's smart. Then I can't go against it. That's very clever. That's very clever, David.
That is, yeah. it is.
Can you hear before?
Is it paneer or is it chicken?
Paneer.
That's very impressive.
Chinese restaurant?
Yeah,
Well, it's not Chinese, but
it's Indian Chinese.
it's like fusion.
Can I tell you a secret?
I just sent you the last bit for the resolve.
Ah, okay. I thought the way you looked at me, I thought you were gonna send something sneaky, and I was like, oh god.
All right. Are we all good to go? Thank you. Okay. Look at the screen. That's awesome. We're back on track.
Andrew's in the chat.
Andrew's. Yeah, Andrew's always gonna see. All right. So we are on to 5.2, reconstituting governance committee. I will kind of read out the motion and then ask for a seconder. That's proper. Yes. Taylor?
Oh, I'll grab my turn.
Put your hand up. All right. So this committee, I'll just read out the be it resolved. Be it resolved that the governance committee be renamed to governance reform committee. Be it further resolved that the terms of reference of the committee be modified to match the attached terms of reference. Be it further resolved that the committee be changed from a standing committee to an ad hoc committee with the length of its term being until the end of this governing year, or when the work set out in this committee's mandate is deemed complete, whichever is sooner. I am looking for a seconder to this motion, seconded by Skylar. So I'll just quickly motivate this a little bit. So this is kind of a question about, first thing I want to say is that usual practice is that we do not get rid of, like, we do not make a big change to a committee like this in the middle of a governing year. That is usual practice. And it's one that I would recommend and that I have considered for other motions. For GovCom in particular, the reason why I think it is worth making this change during the year is because it has been brought to my attention that it may be actively impeding current process. If it was just kind of annoying, that's fine. But if it's actively impeding, I say it's worth making the change. Now, a couple of things that this is supposed to do is, of course, maintain the membership of the governance committee, but focus them more on governance reform. So that gets rid of their mandate to do governance as a whole, because all of those things should be discussed on the board level, is my belief. By getting rid of this committee, it empowers the board to discuss the things that they discuss anyways. Oftentimes, when a motion comes from governance committee, we discuss it in full at the board level. And that, I think, is something intrinsic to the governance committee, because issues of governance are pretty key to what board does. They affect board as a whole. So they will consistently be interest from the board as a whole. So for that sake, it is consistent duplication, even though the duplication is always possible in committees. This is a little too consistent. I also believe that removing this committee will re-empower current directors to speak on governance issues from those who are not on the governance committee, which all of us were elected to do so. With governance being central to many of what we come in here to do. There are other things, of course. As I've had conversations with directors outside, there are a million different reasons why we may want to do this, but those are kind of the big ones. I'll look to Skylar because he is the seconder. Do you want to motivate as well? Or do you want to put it straight to discussion? Okay. I will also say I do expect an amendment. So I don't want it to be surprising, but I'll go straight to discussion, and we'll see where it goes. Well, Mohammed, hello. Go ahead.
This is an interesting motion. I'll have an amendment, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm putting that in chat.
All right. So we have an amendment. Mohammed, do you want to elaborate on this amendment?
Good evening, board. So when I first saw this motion, I had a couple of qualms. I'd say those still exist. My main worry is the sort of the long-term potential impact of essentially removing the governance committee, and by that virtue, our body that sort of reviews our governance procedures and makes sort of continuous improvement to our organization. I sat as a large member last year. I think Arya sat as a large member in the previous year. I think, and I've seen valuable contributions the committee makes. And this year is an anomaly because we're focused on governance reform, and rightfully so, as per the AMM motion. And so what this amendment basically does, it restricts sort of the dormancy of governance committee to only for this governing year. After the governing year expires, board will have an opportunity to then go forward. If there are any other committee changes, we can consider those alongside this. But the main guise of this motion is to not, remove the committee period, and then obviously create an ad hoc committee. So it amends that to create an ad hoc committee separate, whose composition, like Ethan said, is going to match the governance committee's composition, and whose sole purpose again is to follow the guidelines that were set forth by our public statement developed at board and per the guidelines for the AMM motion at the last members meeting.
Okay, so that's my bad on the procedure here. We do need a seconder for this before you motivate. I was hoping you'd just read out the.
Oh, oops, I can do that.
Yes, can you please do that? And I'll ask for a seconder.
Okay, be it resolved that the governance committee will become dormant for the remainder of the 25-26 governing year. Be it further resolved that an ad hoc committee named the Governance Reform Committee be established in its place, with its term lasting until the end of the current governing year or until the work outlined in the committee's mandate is deemed complete, whichever occurs first. Be it further resolved that terms of reference for the Governance Reform Committee shall be outlined as in the attached document. Be it further resolved that the membership of this new Governance Reform Committee be composed of the current membership of the Governance Committee.
Okay, thank you. So I will be looking for a seconder. Oh, my hand's up. Okay, so wait, I'll second the amendment.
Going in a loop now.
Yeah, I will not continue to elaborate other than the fact I'm in favor of this. So we'll go, this is an amendment, so there.
Have discussion.
So we'll start with Samir.
So I'm personally against this amendment because it kind of nullifies some of the ideas of why we're bringing the change in the first place. I don't think it's good governance to have a committee dormant and reactivate automatically of changes there. And the whole idea of a committee will find work for itself isn't really addressed. I think next year, if we find that this wasn't a good idea, next year is empowered to actively bring back governance reform. But the way this is worded, GovCom would automatically come back into existence next governing year. And the problems we've seen in GovCom aren't just during this governing year. They're mentioned by previous board and before that. And that's why I think I'd rather have the existing motion next year if board finds that it's not seeing the valuable input that it has with governance from before. Staff can tell us through their experience over time. Board can then actively choose to bring back governance committee, rather than this motion making this board has to actively remove governance committee again, which I don't think is in best practice. And I don't even know under our bylaws if we can have dormant committees. I don't know if that's a thing because we have standing and we have ad hoc. That's our governance team. Is a dormant committee allowed?
Okay, well, we've got a question and a three, so I think I start with the three and I'll just get to the question. Rita.
David, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the one who submitted motion as a whole.
That's correct.
Do you not want to simply consider the amendment to be friendly?
I don't think it will be. I imagined objections, which there are.
Oh,
Yes. So I could not get away with that one. So then we had a question on dormant. I don't think that's a technical category, but Esther, go ahead if you want to elaborate.
My understanding, not support of this, but my understanding of the dormant here is that it's a standing committee that's the main dormant. Another segment of committees like standing, other committee. To the standing committee that is doing dormant.
So, and I just want to respond a little bit, because it is my belief that GovCom, I think, should be eliminated eventually. And like I think I would agree on all of those points. I would just say what this essentially is intended to do is it gives us time to kind of evaluate how things went this year without GovCom existing, whether or not there were any issues. It is my plan, I'll say this just up front, to bring back a motion at the end of near the end of the governing year to rediscuss the issue. I want it noted that is something that I intend to do. I don't imagine there will be any issues. So if there aren't any issues, then we'll just get rid of it permanently. But what this does is, you know, if we somehow forget to do it, we return to status quo instead of causing damage. But I eventually think, and this is where me and Mohammed will agree, I eventually think it will be worth getting rid of. Point of information, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm going to make it very clear to the board, a large share, I am not of that opinion.
That's what I said. This is where we disagree.
Oh, I heard agree.
You did agree.
You did say agree.
I have a lisp. I apologize.
Gordon's opposite. You can say
A little heart attack.
I had meant disagree.
Yes.
We agree on the
For the
amendment.
minutes, disagree.
So I like what Damien said, definitely changes my stand a little, but I just want to say this, if we as a board are changing how advocacy works, and then board fundamentally is going to be more focused on governance. So it's a little like, again, I'm a little iffy on the dormant state, either we keep a committee or we don't keep a committee, but this seems like a weird compromise. So for that reason, I think board should make its mind up if it wants to maintain a governance committee or if it doesn't want to maintain a governance committee. So that's where I sit.
To be or not to be.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, all right. I understand. In a regular governing year, I would acknowledge it would be weird, especially because we're maintaining membership on the new ad hoc. The main prerogative is the fact that right now we are so focused on governance reform that, and this to credit Damien brought up this point, which is a good point, which is that we've not been focused enough on general governance practices. And so that is a lacking aspect. And so obviously we wouldn't want to now, for that reason, say, okay, let's remove the governance committee because this year we're focused on governance reform. So let's make that committee dormant and then reevaluate at the end of the year. This can serve as a pilot, observe the general scope of work brought forward by directors when they're implementing governance work without the committee. And for this remaining governing year, the governance committee will be reverted and sort of transformed into a governance, into an ad hoc governance reform committee based on what we've been doing thus far.
Yeah, I'll give you right.
If I may, I mean, this is the thing. I've been on governance committee. I know there's benefits to it, but also when I was an adult student, I thought it was really good. When I became VP, it was the headache of my life because every motion that came messed something up in some magical way. So for those reasons, I think it might be too powerful on a committee, if I'm honest. So I am leaning towards more like abolishing governance committees for that reason. Perhaps you create a working group for the governance reform, if you want to really maintain governance committee, and so that governance committee do the actual work it's supposed to, which is kind of good governance practices for the company and change things that way. But you know, I'm all over the place, so I'll just let you.
Point of clarification, that is different from a response.
No, I'm asking, I want to clarify.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay, at the end you said you're in favor of maintaining the governance committee, but you want us to create a working group for governance.
Well, I'm saying that's one possibility. We could just maintain the governance committee so they can do governance committee work.
Yeah.
And then there could be a working group focused on governance reform.
Is that?
But again, I have had mixed experiences with governance committee. Sometimes it brings good motions. Sometimes I think it like brings crazy motions. So it depends, you know. It's very powerful, which is my problem.
Samir, go ahead.
Thank you. I just say, respond to Mohammed, I don't think a lot of the problems with the governance committee are with this year. I think this year's been worse because governance reform, but that's what I was saying, like this has been the year before that. So a lot of problems with, you know, the double discussion with, from what I've seen, if you look at the historical things, the only items brought to governance committee are brought by directors, only the chair. So like it's only directors really doing that. The other stuff isn't really bringing emotions there. So like, I think that's why I want to get rid of it, is not because this year, it's been worse this year, definitely, but in general. And the second element of the committee will always find work to do. If we propose on governance, you said about ad hoc committee.
Samir, I apologize. I'm going to actually have to cut you off here.
Sure.
I want to say that the current discussion is on the amendment not to eliminate by default. It's for just this year or permanently. Yeah. The argument is just this year wouldn't give us time to review, see if things are working, and then if we forget, it comes back to status quo. It is not whether or not we should get rid of it. That's a slightly different. I just want to make sure that you're addressing the amendment currently, and then you can address the other stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna address the amendment.
Yeah.
I think for good governance practices, the default should be removed. If we find a problem with this new pattern, we actively bring it back, rather than us relying on a motion later on to then review and then the status quo shouldn't be it coming back. It should be it being removed, and then if there is a change, it should come back. I know that's big pedantic and semantic, but I think that's good governance.
Those words mean. You got one, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'd say, so we're talking about status quo, right? So your status quo is to sort of maintain the current. What you would want from a governance perspective,
Oh, we got a 3.
Navigation, my status quo is not to maintain the current. Status quo is whatever decision we make should then be the status quo. Whatever decision we make should be the status quo. It shouldn't flip back and forth.
Okay, so my opinion, I think doesn't change there regardless. It's that sort of what this proposes is, as opposed to coming back down the year and saying, hey, we actually missed governance committee. It's an absent part. We're not seeing as much governance involved work being done on the board table. Let's go back and make the governance committee. We should instead choose to make it dormant while we observe the effects of it, as opposed to saying, let's go take a risky trial. Again, at the end of the day, how much work is being done on this motion in preparation to confirm, in fact, that we don't need a governance committee? Not much. So we're going to come out here and we're going to, hey, let me finish, David. Let me interrupt something. Why are we going to come out here? Why are we going to come out here and abolish a committee without observing whether or not its effects are fully, in fact, without acknowledging how much of an impact it can make? And then 6 months down the road, we realize, hey, we need it. Let's bring it back. I feel it's counterintuitive. You'd rather make the committee dormant while you observe the impacts of this quote unquote pilot. And then 6 months down the road, you can make and evaluate your decision.
Yeah, I do want to say, because you did directly, there was a decent, a solid bit, almost everyone in this room I've had a conversation with around the governance space. So I just want to clarify that I understand you may believe that there was more, but it's not, it is different than saying there has not been. I have been discussing this for months. So I just want to be very clear on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't mean to sort of come out this. For general fact, I was alerted on the motion of maybe a couple of days before the agenda was released. So I actually wasn't given notice on the motion, nor was I on secondary fact involved in the development of the motion, which I think is counterintuitive as the chair of the committee. And so, by that virtue, I think that's a relevant point here. Just speaking to the fact that that's why I think this decision here allows us to put it on hold. We don't have to make a decision right now. We can say we can restrict governance committee to what it's already been doing, governance formulated work. 6 months down the road, evaluate. We're not making a decision right now to completely remove and abolish a committee. We're simply pushing the can down the road. And that is because, again, I'm going to say it again, the notice wasn't properly given, and I don't think we've done enough work on the background.
Hey, please, just because he's a public, I do have to issue that clarification now, which is that I did try, as you know, to contact you significantly earlier, but you were very busy. And then eventually, yes, we did end up scheduling a meeting, but I missed the meeting. I apologize for that, but I did try and contact you over a month ago, right? About this. So I do want to add that clarification, just that context. I don't think it's super relevant here, but I do want to add that. Go ahead.
I agree in terms of the degree of need to talk about this, but I think we delved into a little bit. So I would like to provide one final piece of context there, and that is, if once this sort of idea materialized, I think it'd be generally good practice to notify in the sort of the developmental stages as opposed on on an approval stage. And so what I'm generally saying, and that is at the end of the day, I'm gonna give timelines here. So a week before the agenda was released, I was given notice that sort of the intention was to bring a similar motion forward. I wasn't given any notice prior to that. And so that's what I'm saying at the end of the day. That can be double checked if you will. And so that is what I mean when I say I wasn't given adequate notice in regards to the changes presented here.
I'm gonna let it go. We'll go back to the regular discussion on the amendment. Any other comments on the amendment, or do we go to a vote? Okay. Yes.
Is the wording of the vote in the chat?
Can you post it? Can you post it in the chat? Did you not post the?
It's in.
Oh, it is in
Oh,
chat.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we'll just start. All those in favor of the amendments? Peer pressure is a powerful force, guys. I don't want to make the same mistake. But that was unanimous, correct? Ah, I was like, okay, all those abstaining? Okay, sure. All right, all those against? Oh, all right, the amendment passes. So that was fun. We'll go back to the regular amended motion, and bring it back to discussion. Are there any comments on the regular motion? Good, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, now I'm trying to reframe it in my mind in terms of the event having passed. I do want to note that the motion as presented now does allow us the opportunity for later on come back and rework perhaps the issues that people see with the governance committee in the long term. I will agree with Arya perhaps in that the way the committee has operated in the past, and perhaps because of its current preference, it's perhaps given it disproportionate power over board and over other committees. But I also disagree that with the premise that this committee's existence as a whole is sort of inherently bad governance, is that it takes power away from board. I'll note that I think the Board of Governors at UW does have, for example, a governance committee, which, to be fair, meets fairly consistently and perhaps isn't as powerful as ours. But, you know, it can be helpful to have that second arena for those discussions and like perhaps the lower level policy stuff.
Yeah, was that a one? Yeah, I'll just say, I think I probably agree with that. And that's like, once again, committee restructure, as many of you guys know, is pretty going to be something that comes up relatively frequently this year. And I do recommend, if you guys have suggestions or anything like that, of course, you can always bring a motion, talk to me, because I may be working on a similar motion. Just that is absolutely something that remains a possibility. If we can find a way to make something like this work, I think that's awesome. I think in its current state, it doesn't. That's why I'm putting forward this motion. Andrew, is that a one or a two? One. Mohammed, go ahead. You first. Apologies, Andrew.
Thanks, David. Yeah, no, I'll recognize like a couple of fair points. What I will say is generally, like, I'm not going to come out here and say governance committee is perfect. God knows it isn't. What I will say is that right now, the way board operates is it tends to refer work down to committee, and also governance committee funnels items upwards. What I see the value in committee is in terms of development, right? If you think the time tracking function, right? Board delegated the work to the governance committee prepared a lot of work. They prepared a procedure, they prepared a time tracking sheet, and prepared an entire system that was taken back up on a board basis, and then that was sort of passed. And with relatively little conversation, might I add, such a controversial item. What I found missing in sort of the motion at hand is that you end up losing that de facto referral and delegation of work. And my issue is that then you can't have a proper conversation at the board table, because we already have a lot to discuss, and adding on to that developmental items alongside that type of work, I don't believe it works, especially when we're talking about one-off items, right? You wouldn't want an ad hoc committee to handle time tracking, right? That is an extent, that is a smaller item that can be handled, by a committee sort of dedicated for those responsibilities. And so, that's my opinion generally. And sort of what I was saying, Damien, and where I'm glad we agree, is that there might be more changes down the line in terms of the committee restructuring that's happening that might alter and might give leeway for that potential gap to be filled. And in that regard, a lot of my points might be withdrawn. And so I think my key point right now is, let's not be rash and make changes when we don't have a full guise of what the actual system is going to look like 6 months down the road.
I'll pass it to Sandra.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me jump in. Just on a point of order, you just approved the amendment. So why are we still talking about this particular item? You should be moving on to the next item. You approved the amendment. Unless I missed something.
Sandra, I'm a little confused. We approved the amendment, not the motion itself. We're talking about the
Which is
motion
a
now as
motion.
amended. There's a motion, correct? Yes.
Which you just approved.
No, we approved the amendment.
We approved to amend the motion.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
added an extra step. Okay, that's fine.
No, we changed. All right. So I will say on that point, I agree in part. I think if in the document I do mention this, I want to emphasize that I believe that we should, as a board, begin to incentivize the use of ad hoc committees for project-based changes. I think that having a committee that currently exists that is standing on governance incentivizes change for the sake of change, when I think that for the most part, governance does have benefits from status quo, because it lets us get used to systems as currently exist, and that change in governance should usually just come when there's an issue, right? As opposed to constant review. I think the incentive should be status quo much more than in with other issues. And when there is a issue, we can either discuss it at board, or if we think might take too long for board, strike a task force, a working group, an ad hoc, whatever you want to call it, something short, something sweet, get it done with. That is my opinion. Andrew, if it changes to a 2, can you please just type that in the chat? It's just I get not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's still a 1. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to come back to me. I blanked on my point.
All right, I'm afraid there's no one else in the line.
You can go to Andrew now.
Okay, we're going to Andrew's point though. So Andrew, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say that I believe that governance, committee in its current function right now, doesn't work. Like a lot of you guys said earlier, I think that governance reform is such a high priority for the board and for a lot of us right now that it's hard when you have directors like myself not on the governance committee, even though it's an important issue to a lot of us, that we have discussions there, but I still want to have discussions now because it's the first time that I've discussed this issue. So, but I also supported the amendment to just suspend it right now and bring it back at the next governing year, because I think that it's hard. It's easier to take away a committee than it is to bring it back up. And I think that, right now we're focused on governance, but maybe, next board or maybe 2 or 3 years later, maybe governance is not such a high priority on boards, on the agenda for board. And I think that discussion on governance would be lost because of that. So I think that having a governance committee in the future at some point would be valuable, and whether or not, and the future board can discuss, once we finish this governance reform and committee restructuring in the future, if they believe it doesn't work as well, then they can propose changes as well. But I think just because it doesn't work right now doesn't mean that it might not work in the future.
I see it too. I'm gonna hand it to Mohammed.
I really like said, I completely agree with that, Andrew, and it's a really good point. I will say I don't believe much will change regarding general board involvement on the governance reform committee. Membership is staying the same. But I will say, I know we will try to do more of that workshop style thing where the board is invited. I'm not sure how much on that side is changing.
Oh yeah.
I'll say this, governance committee can have some really good benefits. For example, when I was at Lord, we created the board manual, which by the way, is only 3 years old. It was only 3 years ago. But I also agree with what Damian said in the sense of governance doesn't need constant review. Only when there's an issue, you really want to go in there and dig into it. So I think, perhaps we really got to look at the terms of reference of this committee and ask ourselves, do we need to constantly be reviewing governance? Or is it only if there's a real issue? Because I think the way the governance committee works plays a big role, and if it's needed or not.
Yeah. I may even say to that, like, well, first of all, I want to reply to Andrew a little bit on the fact that, yeah, I agree with a lot of that, but also if a board doesn't think governance is a big issue, it kind of sounds like is not a big issue to them. It kind of sounds like governance is not becoming a problem for them, and therefore that's probably a good sign that we should remain with the status quo. But I would also say that it may be worth having a conversation around like a de facto, maybe every 3 years review or something like that, as opposed to doing this constantly. But that's a question for later. But I don't think it's really necessary right now. I think there are other options other than the standing committee that meets every year and constantly changing things just for the sake of changing things. Not to say that some of the work governance isn't good. I just think that some of those changes could have also been made by ad hoc or by just at the board. Okay, that's good, Mohammed.
Yeah, no, I'm guessing our conversation has sort of come to the end. I think I say one last point and then I'm gonna put my shoes up. So I think I heard a lot about the notion of whether or not governance should exist and continue making changes when those changes might not necessarily be per se. I think it comes down to like there's an aspect of proactive governance and reactive governance. What we tend to see is reactive governance. That's what the board kind of does. But governance committee has the ability to be proactive. Like there was a change made when I sat on as a large member last year regarding looking at our advisor evaluations. Now there were issues in getting those changes forward, but the committee had done serious work on how we sort of evaluate our governance our governance advisor and our auditors, etc. All those items, and that is quite proactive, right? We don't know when we might need them, but when we do need them, at least those aspects and those tools are available, right? They looked at hybrid AML meeting models. And officer comp initiated on a governance committee basis when Teresa and Jeff put forward a motion and the first time tracking sheet was developed then and there. So governance committee tends to put forward pretty good ideas, and I think it's invaluable to say they're not necessarily going to be supportive of the general organization. I think that I'm not going to say there's always something to look at, but I think we're a large board. There's something the governance committee can do, and if there's not much, the committee doesn't have to meet as frequently per se. I think it comes down to that respect, and it comes down to sort of trusting that they're not going to put up items that are not necessary, and that's just general good governance practice. That's what we're here to do. And so I think that would be my final point this evening. And I would ask, 6 months down the road when we actually come back and we say, okay, well, how is this fair? We approach it with an open mind and say, okay, well, has this one better or worse? If you look at past years and sort of just really evaluate the value of governance committee and look at alternative solutions, because that's what I'm going to say, right? If we the Damien's committee restructuring comes up with methods to sort of include developmental options that are sort of status quo and are cohesive with our board, then that's brilliant. That's a lot of what I want to see in some other items. So I'll be happy to tell you those and work with them. But that is just what I wanted to say.
Well, I don't see any comments. Do you think we can go to a vote? Okay. All right, we'll start with the regular. All those in favor of the amended motion? Okay, one second, I got to count actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All those abstaining? One. Wait, one. Wait, what's the other? Oh, me and two. Okay, sorry. All those against? Cool. All right, it passes. With that, we will move on to 5.3 Executive Director Evaluation Process. This is moved by, oh my God, it's long, so it's Samir. But do you want to kind of yeah, terrible motion. Go ahead.
Okay.
Motion.
So every year, as part of the duties of the board, maybe probably our most important duty is to do an evaluation of the evaluation of the executive director. Since we didn't really do one last year, and for good governance of board, we're not HR experts. We're not sure how to do it, methods, all that. So the advice comes through us. It's important to have a third-party professional in order to assist us to make sure we're doing a good, fair, legal way, and that is actually helpful to our org and all that. This motion is basically getting Damien to hire a third-party professional
most likely it'd be some from University HR, to be honest, but I kept it vague in case how it works out to help get us a guide. How do we do it? The valuation still comes from us, but making sure we're done in an equitable, fair way that actually helps the org. Like, if we give valuation in a way that doesn't help, well, what's the point of it? So that's kind of motion. All I will say, Suzanne, the cake you made yesterday helped a lot. That's a joke. That's a joke.
That's good. That's good. Make sure that's in.
For the HR meeting afterwards.
Okay, yes. Point of order, of course, we're not in order.
The date on this motion is, well, we gotta change that. This is August, right?
Oh, that's the day I wrote it.
Okay.
Opt-in button. I'm gonna need a seconder. I saw Skylar first. All right, Skylar, do you wanna?
I think Samir had a great job of what he said, and I agree 100% with the evaluation and the way they go about it. I think that this is going to be a process that. No, but I do genuinely think this is going to be a process that, board has not gone through before in this sort of manner. And I think approaching it with the most due diligence and governance like responsibilities is the most appropriate thing. So I think Samir had a good point.
Is that actually a one? Okay, Samir, go ahead.
Probably 2 years ago, I believe they did it. And then last year there were some issues with it. But I think overall the process, even 2 years ago, talking to some directors was a bit, they were a little confused on how they did it. Talking to some directors from that board. And maybe that's it. Okay.
Wasn't my year.
You look like you wanted to reply, or was that? Okay, we'll just move on.
Well, I'm not, there's a reason why, and that's because there's a connection with University of Waterloo HR, and they, because of some of the things that they're going through from an HR perspective and evaluation, they actually didn't, they told folks they didn't need to do them. So that may have played into.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you. Aria?
Yes, I was gonna say to that, as the employee being impacted by this, do you have any thoughts? Anything you want to say before board has a general discussion?
I think my general thoughts are that there's a process that's in place that you folks need to follow from the University of Waterloo, and then however else you want to manage that process, as long as it aligns with that, then I don't know that there's really much more to add to it until I see more, I guess, details to it. I may have other questions, but yeah.
Okay, Rory, go ahead.
Mine was very similar. Did Samir have a conversation with you about this motion beforehand, or was this a little bit of a surprise to you?
To me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I thought you were looking. Oh, sorry. Samir did talk to me.
Okay. It means anything.
I told her 5 minutes for the meeting.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
All right. More comment. All right, well, that's, wait 1 second. Can we, right, I had an amendment if I could, very small one. The board directs the president and/or delegate. Is that a meaningful change? I'll actually ask Esther, if that's a meaningful change, or if I can delegate anyways.
Just amend, so it's clear that you're.
Okay.
Doesn't want to do work normal.
I might end up doing it myself, but I want the option there. If
That's friendly.
there's no such, well, are there any objections? Can I have a seconder to the amendment? Thank you, Skylar. Any objections to that amendment?
Taking consent.
Okay, cool. So then it is amended to direct the president and or delegate as chair of the board. Okay, cool. Well, that's cool. So we'll go to a vote. All of those in favor of the amendment? The motion as amended? Okay, it's controversial. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that a hand? No, it's not. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All those abstaining? 2, 3.
Sorry, not my hand.
All right, we'll keep that. All those against? All right, so the motion passes. Cake.
I didn't get cake. Where was this cake? Too bad, too late.
Let you know next.
So we're on to 5.4, making decent progress, kind of. Approval of a board work plan, which surprise, I submitted. But I will pass this to to Sandra.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, Sandra, if you can kind of elaborate on what's in front of us here.
What's in front of you? Okay, thank you. So some of this came from the work that we did during the onboarding back in April, looking at both the requirements that you have as a board of regular things that happen as you go through the year, as well as reflecting from the conversation some of the items, and you'll specifically notice under governance structures and policies, a lot of reference with governance review or governance reform. So that's sort of planned in. But the reason behind a board work plan is to outline the things that are routine that you need to do, and then to also be able to allocate things and ideas that you want to talk about in different meetings. So what we've tried to do with this is look at the meetings that you've had and the meetings that are coming up. What are some of the things that you need to be focusing on? Looking at what are the key responsibilities for the board. Some of them become the priorities, but some of them are the responsibilities. So as a board, you have a responsibility for long-range planning. Last year, the long-range planning committee met, came up with a long-range plan. This year's board, you need to be having check-ins on what's the progress you're making according to with the long-range plan. And typically it's looked at twice a year when you're going through a plan. It's a good idea for the board to set priorities, which you did do, and you want to make sure that you're checking in on them as you're going through the year. So 2 touch points on when you're going to check in. This year, the board committed to doing a performance evaluation, and the decision was to do it at the end of each of the terms. So you've got 3 that will come forward. So that's built in. The whole work plan itself, as you're preparing the agenda each month, you are looking at the work plan, making sure that you've at least covered the ideas that are there. And it gives you a little bit of time to know what other allocation you have in terms of time to do things differently. So that's sort of the genesis behind it. And you can see that toward the latter part of your term, you're heavily into budget kinds of discussions, and that's lining up with your fiscal year and getting ready for the audit. So that's in a nutshell, Damien, how it was pulled together. And it is a governance good practice to have the work plan. And then also, as you've seen from the committees, to have the work plan. So I'll draw your attention to the governance structure, policy, and review line in particular. You should be seeing in there what the governance reform committee has said they're going to be bringing regular updates to the meeting. And I may have, Mohammed, I apologize if I've missed a month or shifted it a little bit, but that was the idea, to make sure that you can see what the committees are also going to be bringing forward if they're working on major projects.
Thank you, Sandra. And I should just note, so first of all, on the motion part, we'll kind of go into the motion section at the end so that we can have, actually, no, we'll do a motion and we'll do regular discussion. I think that's much more fair. I just want to take note of the fact that, yes, some of the stuff that is on this work plan that is said to have already happened did not happen. I want that to be acknowledged that we are aware of the fact that exists. What this kind of also does, on top of looking forward, is kind of looking backwards as to what should happen as kind of a decent template for what a work plan could look like in the future. So I do want that noted, that is not something that we are not aware of, and that was the rationale behind this. I saw Samir. Oh, actually, I apologize. No, I just said I'd do it this way. Can I have a seconder to the motion for the work plan? Thank you. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Samir.
Bunch of small, somewhat connected thoughts I was gonna say. I think first biggest one is, in our board policy, we have a governance calendar, and I think for future years, if it is stuff that should happen every year at the same time, it should be in that governance calendar, not do one every year. I feel more work plans based on unique stuff the board went through that year. A few items in here, like, also aren't stuff we've done in the past, or some clarification of what they are / are we gonna start doing them. One is review progress of long-range plan milestones. We don't really do that. I guess we do annual plan review. Another one is review progress of board annual achievement priorities. Risk-based review of operational long-range plan. I don't remember any board doing that. And then I think those are the main ones. Also, I would mention right now in our policy, it is for governance evaluations. It is quarterly, not termly. So I would highly recommend board members, if there's stuff we like after we pass this, move this into actual governance calendar, and also amend that governance evaluation, because I believe we should be following our written down policy on those.
Any response to that before we go to? All right, cool. Yeah, sorry, Sandra, did you want to?
No, I'm just, this is a good discussion. The work plan is yours. And so modifications can be made. And yes, your policy definitely does say for the board evaluation 4 times. This group decided you would do it at the end of each term, which is well within your prerogative to do that. So suggestion might be to change the policy to have a regular evaluation and not tie yourself to a time, so that you can take a look at what makes sense.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Andrew, is that a 1 or 2? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go to Arya.
So this is a great document, but I think my question is, why hasn't it taken so long? We're 4 months into the governing year, so I think really as a good practice, and I really push us to get budgets and annual plans and all those on time. And I'll push the governance department as well. You know, we need to pass this in May, so we can actually follow our rules and be effective. And we really need to, as an organization, speed up in how we pass the annual plan, how we pass the budget, and how we pass these things, because it can't be every year there's a delay somewhere down the line. We need to get to a point where these things are all of fact passed in May, board gets to get things together, so we can have effective governance, so this corporation can function effectively. So I'm just going to say that I'm a little unhappy that it's taken so long, and I hope that it's a good document, and I hope next governing year this is passed in May.
Thank you, Art. There was a question there though on it, so I will look to someone to answer that question. On why it came so late.
I'll own that one. It just took timing to pull it back together. So my apologies to the committee, to the board.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Anything else on this point, or there was a 1 somewhere? I think it might have just been Andrew. All right, Andrew, go ahead.
Hi, so I noticed at the bottom of the work plan that it says like it may be worth considering whether termly rather than bi-monthly budget to actual variance reporting would be more effective. And I actually think it would be more effective, because I was looking through the budget actual variance report for this meeting, and I think that like without the student revenue aspect of things, I think it's hard to say. It's hard to say whether or not. It's hard to say whether like the numbers are like concerning or not. So I just want to ask like Suzanne, what months would be best to allow like termly variance reporting, so we have student fees involved as well?
I think you have student fees involved. It'll just be 2 months worth of the revenue recognized. I believe it's in there. But in terms of timing, I think it depends what board is looking for. If you're looking for something more frequent, obviously you're going to need them more often. But if you're looking for termly, that's probably going to have a little bit more reflection on the activity for the previous term as a whole, then termly makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to leave that at you folks. I'm not sure that's really something that I can weigh in on.
That's a 1. Okay.
Also, clarify us, staff, Sandra, in general, what does it mean to do a risk-based review operational long-range plan? And I'll ask board in general, do we want to do a review of progress long-range plan, and do we want to do a risk-based review? Because whatever's passed in here, I would expect the president/governance department to bring forward every one of these meetings if we do pass it.
I'm not.
That a question for me or for
Samir, was that a question to me, or was it?
Whoever understands, I don't know who to ask, so sure, if you think you can answer it.
Okay, well, remember, one of the pieces of responsibility for the board is understanding the risks and the mitigation strategies. So again, the same thing, you can look at what's the frequency that you need to do it. Your operational plan and your long-range plan will have risks associated with them, and they could have different frequencies. Suzanne usually brings in her reports something around the risks, and that's where you may do it. This is suggesting that you would be looking at it. Typically, you look at it at the beginning of your calendar or your board year, and then probably 6 months in, because it does have an impact on developing your operating plan for the following year.
Be included more formally in
Yeah.
with the annual plan when we bring it forward.
I think it's helpful.
A little bit more of a more detailed risk assessment. And then again, reporting in that if it's twice a year.
Again, as Damien said at the beginning, the idea behind this is some of the things you may not have done this year, but it's to get into a regular habit of what should be coming and the timing for it.
Yeah. More comments? Oh, yeah.
So I would like to also add, I'm pro passing this. We should pass it. It's a great document. And thank you for everybody who worked on it and graded it. But I would like to add a be resolved that forces WUSA on a governance level to have to pass this in every May. So we have a pressure on us to develop this and pass it in May. So I was going to say be resolved. I don't know if that's appropriate here, but I think it's good if it's in our governance processes that we have to pass this thing in May. So we make it in May, we pass it in May, so board follows it. Yes. So
I'll just say.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, the amendment was preferred, but it's just kind of an indicator that you're thinking about it. This kind of makes sense as an amendment here, but it almost feels like
it's almost
a motion in itself. I actually don't know. I guess it could work as an amendment, but it feels like its own motion to be honest. So I don't quite know how to handle it. I might almost defer to Esther here for some help here.
Be it for the results.
And this makes sense as a be it for further resolve?
Mhm.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Then there isn't currently an amendment on the floor, so I would. Yeah. Rory, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So we're not moving that amendment?
Well, is there an amendment on the floor that needs to be decided on? I would like to move this amendment.
Okay, then I'll look for a seconder for that.
So let me give a wording then
Oh, yeah,
before we,
that's probably fair.
What were we gonna say?
He did give, but not very specific wording, so I apologize.
yeah,
That's me on the chair. My bad.
this is the wording I'm open to friendly amendments, but I think this gets the point across, so please.
Oh, did you post the wording? Okay.
Yes.
So just for those who cannot see it, the wording is, can we say further resolve? Yeah.
That's fine.
Be it further resolved that future yearly WUSA board work plans are drafted and approved in the May of the governing year. Can I have a seconder? Oh my goodness, I think I saw Samir.
You can have it. Come on.
Sure, Mohammed, go ahead. You can be the seconder here. Mohammed, would you like to speak on this as the seconder?
Good practice and good suggestion.
That's very concise. I like that. Rory, go ahead. Thank you for the one.
The only point that I will say is I think recognizing the fact that most of this board work plan was put together during our transition. I don't know if May is necessarily going to be like a good turnaround time for actually getting a document ready. I'd move it back like one meeting.
Oh, yes, Rem.
I do want to add that the original plan was that we were going to have a retreat in April.
I will go to Samir first.
So I do think like at that retreat, we should get all the ideas and pass it at that meeting. If you can't, next meeting by the latest. Damien, are you okay?
Don't worry about me. Go ahead. Rory. That's you.
I'm going to motion to amend to no later than June.
That is a one. Not a
It
two.
is a one, sorry.
So I will pass it to Arya first.
So Roy made a good point, and it's a fair point, but I'm gonna be very frank. I think this, three things take priority over everything else, honestly. Budget, annual plan, and this document. And I think the team could just prioritize it and get it done over others. I know it's not a great turnaround time, but I really think it should pass in May. So our board can function effectively, so we know what we're doing. So, I think we should suspend some stuff so this happens.
Okay, we'll go to Rory.
Okay, my response to that is recognizing the fact that very often there are delays. And also with respect to the fact that like a lot of this stuff will flow from the decisions made for the annual plan, very similar to the budget. And we don't expect the budget and the annual plan to come in at the same time, recognizing the fact that they should naturally flow from each other. If that makes sense, like you should make the decisions on the same time.
They do come.
Never mind. Then I think we are doing bad process.
So my counter argument to this is, in our board governance calendar, we say May, budget and annual plan in the past. They don't always pass in May. If it's late, we just try to get it as soon as possible. By saying latest by June doesn't stop anything. Like if the end of June happens, it's all like the corporation dissolves if we don't do it. Like we're just gonna try to get it as soon as possible. I think May is our goal. We try as hard. And I think all three items in the same meeting, we can have a different argument about budget and annual plan later. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, one or two, man. Make two. Go ahead. Keep switching. Go ahead.
I'm not amending anymore. My only response, cynical response to that is like, then does it actually matter in that case whether it's outlined the specific time or not? Yeah. Well, let's kill this conversation.
Last one, all of that. Okay. All I say, I think it's good to remind us when we're looking at on the calendar. It's not binding, but it's good to remind us. Same while we have annual plan or budget on the calendar.
Okay, Mohammed.
Thank you. I want to bring up a brief side point, just about, you want your document to be progressively changing, progressively improving. So I think I don't want to make this amendment. I think just for the general minutes, as long as we can acknowledge probably that Sandra, our governance advisor, and probably the president will sort of make changes before the item's brought forward, just so that it's contextually accurate to the board at hand.
Come on.
It's more of a general statement, and if anyone has an objection, then it's good. Otherwise, we have it like we're just acknowledging the fact that it's expected to happen. I don't think it's a significant point.
Sure, it's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes. It's minuted.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing any amendments or anything, so no changes are being made here. Okay, anything else on the work plan?
We have to vote on the amendment.
Oh, was there an amendment? Oh my goodness.
It was an amendment.
Yes. Oh my God. Once again, I apologize. Not on my best performance today. So all those in favor of the amendment? All right. That is. Okay, I can't tell. Shay, the hands over here. Make it clear. Thank you. Okay, all those abstaining. Two against. All those against.
I never bow to public pressure.
I appreciate that, Rory. I really do. The amendment is passed. All right, so we go back to the work plan. Once again, with lots of respect for Rory's stubbornness. And conviction. That's a better word. Any more comments on the work plan? That's awesome. Okay.
Challenge?
No challenge. No one challenging the chair today.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor of approving the work plan? Wasn't sure there for a second, woman. Okay. It is unanimous. So the motion passes. Hey, we got to it.
Business.
Yes.
Oh, guys, that's new business.
So next we're on to 5.5, discussion on developing professional development resources for board members. We are in new business. We've been in new business.
I skipped it.
So this one is submitted by Katie. It is not a motion, so we will not be needing a seconder. Katie, do you want to start us off?
You guys can figure out if
Hi, Katie.
So Davey already mentioned it, but it's not a motion, it's a discussion. And I did provide recommendations, but it's more of an idea of how skill development can be looked at and how we can improve upon it. So the main reason why I brought this to board was because I was kind of inspired by practices that I have on my current co-op and what I used to do at WUSA. So for instance, at WUSA, the VP HR would meet with staff to plan like online courses that could help them with like skill development, help them become like more subject matter experts with, let's say, policy. And where I work at York Region, essentially the branch that I work in is known as like an enabling branch. So we serve staff and we essentially provide networking opportunities, webinar opportunities, and we want to make sure that they develop skills or make connections with, let's say, people in academia or in specific fields that they want to learn more about or find out what's happening. So, although board is technically not staff, I still think as student leaders, we're in positions where we can look at our professional development, see what we're actually learning from these roles that we're in, what we want to become experts in, and the different types of skill development we want to acquire. So what I'm hoping to get from this discussion, though I hope we could lost track, I don't know.
We always do.
Is we as board members feel as though there's a gap in our professional development opportunities. So the VP and president can also chime in, but for me, more about the board members. And if yes, where are those gaps and where can we speak? That's my preamble.
Thank you, Katie. Yes, as a reminder, Samir, if no one has made a point yet, you can't be a 2.
I don't know what I meant.
Yeah, but Samir, your hand was the first up, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm ignoring your question. I'm not talking about the discussion item itself because I'm gonna forget this otherwise. I promise you guys, I'm not gonna talk much to stop.
We shouldn't just mention going off track.
Correct.
It's better be
Okay, it's a quick few thoughts
on this.
Yeah. So, I do think right now we currently do have a professional development like budget line item. I'm not sure if directors can apply to it. That may be a conversation. Formalized, I remember last year Alex Chabon went to Town and Gown. So like I think this maybe kind of exists, even not formalized. Pair board members. I see it. I think maybe the staff may be a little inappropriate, but I see the point. A structured board learning plan makes sense. I am very hesitant to advertise board as a leadership accelerator because the LinkedIn people will come here. They'll come here for the resume. And people in governance come here.
Right here.
It's just I think boards should be for governance and not advertising for professional development. There should be opportunities, but wary of that, of who applies and runs. And other than that, great job, Katie. I love this motion. Yay!
As a reminder, it's not a motion.
Discussion motion, Mr. President.
Not a motion at all. It's a discussion item.
Come on.
Keep it together. The leader was Aria.
No,
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see the 2. Go ahead.
Okay.
You are mine.
I would say a very good point, but I suppose you could say the place where I'm coming from is more about how can we make these roles or position them as a way to make students also want to engage with the person. Like if you think, kind of like what I always mention, like student leader pipeline, how can we advertise these positions and really make students feel like they're getting a beneficial outcome aside from this knowledge about WUSA? I feel like there are different ways that we can do it, and this is a part of it. I'm just not response. You good?
Okay, then sorry.
Thank you. I'm just gonna say this, if there's gonna be professional development, it should be governance focused. Because that's what the board does and they should get better at doing their job. So I would say position it that way. It shouldn't be like send someone to a random conference to learn knitting, right? So it's super important to clarify that in the minutes and across my personal opinion. But I would also say, like at WUSA, we had this concern of if there's like professional development almost got cut the year I was making the budget. Because I had half the board be like, this is too little money. We can't do anything effectively with it. So if we're going to have a program of such kind, there needs to be a really thought out approach to how, what's the monetary allocation? And is this actually effective enough to do real professional development that is related to our jobs? So that's my comment.
To the second point.
Yeah, there's no two.
Well, I'd say for the budget exactly, I guess that's up for discussion. But it's kind of like, I also feel also as board members, we go beyond governance. I mean, when we talk about advocacy, let's say we want to become subject matter experts with mental health, housing, mature students on campus. And if we position ourselves to go to webinars for that, maybe even conferences for that as board members, or even like President or VP want to do that, we can use those skills such as learning to advocate for our students better on campus. And then we also position ourselves as students that way that when we go apply to clubs or when we graduate, we can say, we went to these skill development opportunities and we can speak to those throughout our future careers.
Thank you. Actually, no.
I saw Rem first.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's something that's like, if we develop the skill, students benefit from board members having that skill better versus like, if we develop the skill, we benefit from having that skill in the future.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just, I have great respect for Katie, and I think this is actually very, very good. As a motion, I would just say, yeah, just making sure that whatever the skill is, it's creating actual benefit in the work we do. So definitely we should come up with a list of things that are reasonable.
I have a 2 and then a 1.
I remember the one, don't worry.
Yeah. I would say I don't like the idea of a list. It can change. It's, a list can't be completely comprehensive. I can understand where you're coming from. Like, it could potentially be misused. So perhaps we can make it discretionary upon like a set individual or perhaps our VP, and then that decision can be made for it from there.
Yes. Program. I should say on that part, considering the fact that this is an emotion, it's a discussion item, a list would not be seen as is this or nothing. It would be used as a, I'm not even speaking for or against the idea of a list. It would be seen as, these are kind of the type of things that we'd be looking for. Because of the fact discussion, it's not as strict. It just kind of helps with governors or whoever would be doing these board development or finding these board development trainings to get an idea of what board's actually looking for. Or I guess me as well as chair, I guess it's a board budget item. So I suppose that is my problem as alongside, I think, the government thing. So go ahead. Yeah, that's you. Now go ahead.
Perfect. First, I want to say I was lied to. When I was running during my election, I was told by a certain someone on posters that, board members are compensated not just financially. They're given chances to go to conferences. They're given merch. They're given all these items. Rory. So I'm quite glad, I would say. I'm quite glad Katie has come forward to this motion. I think we're finally going to see all the advertising Rory did on, for board members. Okay. But on a serious note, I do think the motion is fantastic. I think discussion item. Thank you, Samir. I really appreciate it. I think the discussion item is fantastic. The ideas brought forth by Katie are really good. The potential, I think, is to 100% sort of accelerate board's knowledge on certain items, which can 100% leverage and be used for the organization, which is a really good point. And I think sort of like the way board should approach it is sort of when board looks at portfolios and sort of focus points, looking at the SMEs and what board members, what sort of board as a whole wants individuals to focus on that can collectively be used to just help board just move forward, especially on certain items.
So I'm just putting myself in the queue with the ones there, but I see no way to choose.
Sorry, I thought you had to choose.
Yeah, we're at.
Want me to respond?
Do you want to respond?
Yeah. I'll respond later. Let me.
Okay, make sure you are.
I am pulling up my election. I gotta find them.
Okay. All right. We'll leave that one for after the board meeting, I suppose. Skylar, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to be redundant. So now, when I had this one, it was a little bit more was less redundant. But I think this is a great idea in any situation. But I think at the board of directors, this is an idea I'm very much against, just because I believe that it creates an opportunity for abuse. As we've talked about previously in other board meetings, we are directors, not employees. As we continue to track hours and do all these things, it seems like we're trying to build this idea that we are employees of this organization when we are not. And I think that we're already overly compensated, we're fairly compensated. And this program, although it could be a great help for a student, I just think that it creates an opportunity for abuse where, students also don't have this opportunity. And it just seems like it's an overcompensation for the work that we are actually doing as board of, as directors. For officers, it may be a different story. And I think that's something that they should look into. But from my stance on as for directors, is just that I believe it could create an opportunity for abuse, and there would have to be obviously like rigorous guidelines.
There's a lot of people with two, so I'm gonna put mine down. I'll give it to the first.
Yeah, I think like Samantha, Scarlett, I definitely see your point, but I think it's a fair one. And I don't want to stray too far from the intention of the discussion item itself. But I think one way to mitigate that concern is to realize that we're also in a position to also like help in the development of the leadership skills that other student leaders at the W have, whether the senators, society, presidents or execs, and things like that. And so I would also encourage thought to be put towards how maybe some of the leadership development opportunities that we might get as a board might also be provided to some of these other students.
You want to put the senators, huh, Mr. Senator?
Okay. Archie?
I partially do this kind of thing, especially like as a returning board member, like first initially coming onto board, I had prior no knowledge of how board work and oriented. And I think a workshop is kind of like, or like the skill development thing is very beneficial for students who have interest in board directors, but don't have any knowledge of how things are governed, how things are worked. And I think this is a good opportunity for students to like grow their skills, but also be that forefront as a leader, student leader, especially, and trying to be that voice for other student leaders coming up with them. This is a good opportunity for students to gain that experience.
Okay, I saw Ram, go ahead.
You know what, never mind.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mohammed.
Oh, wow, it's okay. Please come back to me. So.
Okay, it's okay, it's okay. Buddy, I've been there. Andrew.
Skylar, I think to address the fraud point, I think we can implement controls like. Oh no, not fraud. Was it like it was misuse, right? It was misuse.
No, I said, can I
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, clarify.
For use, I just mean, can I explain?
Like a lawyer. You get your point.
Is that if we allocate a certain amount to students for this and they try to maximize that every year, it just seems like it's a bit of a cash grab for students. Like they get this person that comes on and one person might do they might have no time. They may be on call. They might not have time to do these activities. And then you have someone that like maxes out like their insurance, like they're just going through and then trying to get the most LinkedIn courses they can. That to me is abuse. So that was what I was trying to say. Thank you.
Okay, I'll pass it back to Andrew.
I don't really think that this would have the opportunity for directors to misuse the funds, because I think the way it works right now is just like a pool of money, not for like it's not allocated for each director, it's allocated to the board as a whole. And I think that if you implement stuff like receipts and reimbursements and stuff like that, I think that eliminates the majority of the problems. And I think professional development opportunities, there's a lot of value in that. Not just from, learning new governance skills and other stuff that you can apply to this board, but also the networking opportunities, meeting other student leaders and execs. You can learn what other students, like associations, other student unions are doing, and maybe apply that to WUSA. So I see the value in that.
I apologize. I was in the line after Andrea. I just want to quickly speak about the facts. The mention that this is kind of like treating board members as employees. That's not true. Board members in many organizations get their own professional development training, including at the university. The university does do it in-house because they got money like that.
Money more.
But I think on that specific point, I would disagree, and specifically that one. Okay, I'll pass it to Mohammed. I should note we are about to hit 10 minutes. There are 20 minutes allocated, so I don't know if there are any other points that go on. Go ahead.
I'd say Damien summarized 50% of my point. My other aspect of the point was just, I think when you look at sort of the value, the contributing value, for example, if I were to attend like a student governance seminar with other student leaders, perhaps I get insight on other student organizations that would help with research, and that could deliver a sort of unquantifiable value to the organization. And I think so that's one aspect, potential. Now there's an aspect of reasonability, and I think that always implies, right? We're not going to go and approve a 5-day conference to UBC to like British Columbia or buds. So a 5-day conference to BC to attend some interesting conference that we might not have a perceived benefit to the organization. There's that aspect of like sort of realisticness and like whether or not it's reasonable. And I think that's going to extend, right? That there's no, that potential for abuse always exists when it comes to like any sort of expensing system. And maybe Katie can speak more to this. And because again, this is not a motion, as it's been pointed out to Samir. This is a discussion item. And so
I would say we're getting a little bit sick.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, this is a discussion item. And so maybe some more clarification on exactly how this is going to be implemented, and then on the subset of that, allocation reasonability.
I would say it looks like we can move on to a new point, which is always awesome. Guys, I'm gonna go. Because I was actually first. I apologize. It's okay. It'll be a quick point.
Speak before me.
I had a 2, but now I had a 1, and then I switched.
Let the guy talk.
I did the math. I did the math. I just want to comment specifically on the point about like kind of rotating directors into some of these. I'm trying to find the document. Oh, here we go. Rotate board member attendance at external conferences with partner organizations. Do want to be careful about something like that, like how we would implement that, because the ability for the VP external to kind of, or the president to attend some of these organizations is pretty crucial for some of the external advocacy we do, including getting their face out more often to kind of increase Waterloo's presence and ability to advocate to these other organizations. Now, there are possibly other ways to do that, including you could argue we should get a second spot or whatever, but I just want to be careful around that specific topic because that ability for the officers to attend should be secure.
Maybe like reorientate the conversation. So let's say like if we take conferences out of it, maybe what we could be looking at is like digital transformation. And that could be like, how can we put ourselves in a position where we're encountering these opportunities online that, let's say, might not cost money? It could be like webinars or like online learning platforms or getting research articles about new updates in a certain field that we're all interested in. I feel like that's another way to look at it. But honestly, I kind of feel like maybe we just need like a live check. Is it the money that's the problem, or is it like the conferences? Because if those two are like the factors that we feel hesitant about, because overall it's just about ideas, right? Then maybe we can just focus on like the original point of the discussion, which is like, do we believe there are gaps? And if so, like, what would they be?
There is just a discussion item, so it's meant to be helpful for you. I think we'll defer to. So how that's just a 3. Like go.
The both 3.
Go ahead.
Just wanted some clarification. I'm guessing the implementation might be this year. So in that regard, if it is, would we potentially need to declare a conflict? Because that would.
It's a discussion item. Let's not get into that right now.
Sure, but any discussion item, we're talking about, we're not moving on a motion, we're presenting view.
My interpretation is that there would not be a significant conflict of interest here that's really worth there's no number that's in yet. Like it's not like we're not I'm not gonna let this get in the way of the conversation here. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, that would just leave me and Rem to discuss. The whole point of this discussion item, the whole point of this discussion item is to hear what board is looking for, would be looking for that. That's my interpretation. That is my interpretation.
I'm not disagreeing with your interpretation.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, not necessarily have to exclude from the discussion, just more of a declaration, and maybe to your point, if a figure comes up, then you can talk about that after that comes up. Because like if we're talking about like a 2 to 3 day conference, that would put forward like a substantial monetary value. But when we get there, we can talk.
Yeah, it's iffy, but I don't want to get into that right now. Let's not get in the way of the conversation. Okay, Samir, go ahead. Oh wait, no, I apologize. There was something that you were looking for. Do you want to ask kind of your question to the
I guess
hour?
if I could, since I know we have limited time and there's other things to do, I think if we try to not focus on like the money or the idea of like conferences and just focus on as board members, I know there's a question of like, do we need skill development and how useful will that be, and like the duality of being on board? But it's just kind of like, if we don't focus on that and just focus on, let's say, our goals, and if we believe there are gaps in knowledge that we could fill, I think that's what I really want to know. And I guess my perspective of being a board member is that I kind of treat it like a co-op, like I'm here to learn, I'm here to help, here to experience new things. So that's just what I'm hoping to focus on for now, since limited time.
Yeah, sure. Can we you want to be thoughtful about whether or not we'll miss people, like board feels like they might be missing some training opportunities in some sense, or?
Yeah, I think just in like generalize, generally, if you want to leave, like maybe raise hands.
Yeah, I can do that. Rory, is it okay if we just go straight to a straw poll? I
Like, just for that, like, do we as a board feel like?
All right, you're very insistent. Let you go, and then we'll go to, and no, I won't be taking any other comments, and we'll go to straw poll. This is crazy, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. I feel like the straw poll, like the way that it's now phrased is so broad that the straw poll, I don't know if it's gonna actually have meaning or not, if that makes sense.
How would you reframe it then to get what we need to get?
So the problem, like in the discussion that you just had around, like, if we don't consider costs and we like exclude conferences, like I feel like that's all part of the conversation that needs to happen.
I think we should look and see if there's a problem that needs filling here.
I'm okay.
This is not the end of the discussion, but we're wasting time. I think we go to the straw poll very quickly, and then.
If board believes there's a problem currently with professional development opportunities.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's yeah. Yeah. Well formulated too. I'll just ask it like that. Put your hands up if you agree with the statement, board, that you believe that board has professional development problems as it currently stands.
I just want to say something.
Yeah.
Wasn't Katie asking more so about gaps in knowledges rather than freshmen? But she was asking.
That's the question. So yeah, it was.
Let's say it's a problems gaps, like if that changes people's mind.
Gaps and, oh my goodness, guys. We're getting semantic. I apologize. A problem, a gap, very, very similar thing, right? So I'm going to ask the question. I'm not taking any more comments. Okay. Put your hand up if you agree that there are gaps in our professional development as a board. Just put your hands up. I'm not looking for iffies. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those who disagree. 1, 2. Okay. Do you have any more information that you'd be looking for? Because this discussion item is free, in many ways for you, for this to be useful for you going forward.
I would say then maybe if people want to do their points, and then I'll ask some follow-up questions. And then I'll maybe.
Okay, then we'll go back to regular, but yeah. Rory, go ahead.
I guess my question for all board is just like, I feel like there's always going to be gaps, always going to be like some way it can be done better. And I think like that was my, like, I feel like so many people were so hesitant.
Yes.
Okay.
No, ask it. Go ahead.
Leave it.
Okay, Samir, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So that's what I recommend to do. Let's Susan how to maybe tie this up. Katie and our governance team work on how this will work. So if it's like the governance team would check off on professional development things or whatever, like they still we currently don't have a budget line reserved for this. We can't really use it right now. The discussion on how much to fund can happen later. So we just have governance team and Katie talk about that. They can talk about this forward learning pathway and that. Then Katie can come out with maybe a more formulated final plan that we can edit, and we go from there.
Yeah. The question then for Katie is, do you feel you have enough information to put together something like that? Because I feel like what's happened from this discussion now is we've just said there are problems.
I would say there's ways of putting together options that don't include funding, that include funding and planning for the next year and what that looks like. So I think what I can take away from here is that board has identified, there might be gaps. It could be, let's say, knowledge-based, skill-based, opportunity-based. I can go back, work with governance and say, like, here are some options in those areas, those fields. These are different ways that we could look at tackling them, and also consult with staff and maybe see how they currently do professional development and take insights from that or lessons learned.
Well, I think if I can add to that interpretation, I think there's a little bit of skepticism around how much to put towards this, but there's a belief that there's something missing, that our training isn't sufficient in that sense. That I think is the interpretation with like a level of skepticism. Because because if it's a discussion item, I don't want to spend much time on it without like in the action items, because this is just for getting you the information you're looking for. I apologize, Rory, but it's if we're not actually furthering that goal, I'm not gonna hold time for it. Actually, go ahead.
Question, Katie, are you willing to like workshop ideas with the directors one-on-one? Because like I would be more than happy to go and workshop ideas before you even bring it to governance, because I think it's good to hear like individually from every director what they feel individually, the gaps and stuff in. Yes, yeah.
I completely agree, and I'd be more than happy to meet with directors one-on-one, because I feel like at the end of the day, it's a tailored approach. It's not always like a generalized approach, and it's what we make of it at the end of the day. Or like what the next board will make of it, or the way that we.
Yeah, that's it. And
And you, considering that, considering that Katie feels like she's got the information she's looking for, is a discussion item, we hit our time. I'm not going to be taking any more comments here. And we're going to move on. Thank you. Okay, so we are on to our fun part of the day, which is our reports.
Point of order, we have another new business thing we added. I'm showing the stands.
Afraid you're right.
You're moving this.
I know. I hate who I am. So this, we are now on to motion 5.6 as we had added. I'm trying to find it up here in the board chat. Oh, it's in the board meeting chat. Okay, there we go. The motion is the Bill 33 is on the Bill 33 stance. So let's bring this out. It is moved by, I believe, me. And we already have a seconder built in, which is so exciting. But I'll just read the be it resolved. The details are in the motion for those who want to see it. It is be it resolved that it is the official stance of the Waterloo Undergraduate Student Association that WUSA is opposed to the passage of section 21.1 of the Ontario Government Bill 33 Supporting Children and Students Act 2025. WUSA believes it infringes upon student democracy and defunds critical student supports that are essential to the success and well-being of university students. That said, it's seconded by Samir. And I'll just kind of motivate this and then pass it to Samir if he wants to add anything. This has been something that we've been discussing as a board for a while. It has been something we've been acting upon through my ability as the official spokesperson to kind of try and fight against a bill that this section of the bill clearly seems to echo the student choice initiative in what its intent seems to be. And it threatens to take away our students' ability to choose what fees, hi Maritini, what fees, I'll give it a second. Their ability to choose what fees are mandatory, what fees are opt-in, what fees are opt-out, and gives that ability to the government instead. So this infringes on students' ability to choose and risks defunding many of our critical services and creating a level of unpredictability when it comes to many of our services, what makes it hard to do long-term planning, even planning for the year ahead. Considering this is something that is very crucial to the core of what makes WUSA and what gives students their ability to advocate for themselves and for what's good for them. I'm hoping to have a unanimous vote today because I think would send a strong message. So that is as my motivation. I'm going to hand it to Samir first. Would you like to use your ability to seconder? Okay, no. So we'll go straight to Arya.
I've been saying a lot of good governance things today, so I'm not going to show mercy. I'm going to just be clear. I think, we should have put this through APC first before bringing it here. So we could have had more constructed conversation about it and actually push it as an advocacy thing. So bring legitimacy. I get it's an emergency thing, but we have known for a while that this bill is coming and it's going to impact us in a very, severe way. So I'm going to say, for future notice, really important to go through APC. So we can discuss these things before it comes to board.
Yeah. As a reminder, I did try and give that explanation because I agree with you, but I did give that explanation at the agenda point.
Oh.
That I will repeat it, which is that
everyone in the room has been muted. If you could turn the mics back on in the room.
oh, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
Oh,
don't know how that happened.
The government act is, I know we were talking about.
Okay. As I was saying, the plan was initially to bring it to APC and do it the regular way, but it became increasingly clear that an earlier October date is likely. So by bringing it to APC, by the time it gets to board, the votes on Bill 33 likely would have already happened. So that's why it comes straight to board. In the end, it all comes to board anyways, and I likely would have, to be honest, pulled it out to consent specifically so we could rediscuss this publicly. So yeah, so that's the case. I do agree with that though, that usually I would prefer it goes through APC, but as long as we discuss it here, I think that's good. Anything else? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I have a 2 and then a 1. The 2.
Start with 2.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say I don't understand the context in terms of like when exactly the motion was drafted. What I will say is this: like if it was drafted on the 11th hour, then I completely get it. If it was drafted like 1 or 2 days prior, I would like, just for future reference, and this is to general board members, if you're bringing in a motion and it's like to the board meeting and it's just
Someone keeps muting the boardroom.
Can we, I apologize. What the heck is going on?
the mics are disconnected.
The speaker?
Yeah.
So the microphone.
Guys, we'll give it a second. What is going on, guys?
Should be good now. Is that one on?
Yeah,
what's on?
Once.
There we go.
Okay.
Did they unplug the whole speaker system?
I don't think they can hear us.
Yeah, I think they unplugged the whole speaker system.
What is going on? Wait, somebody text Aria. Or text Suzanne, maybe. Or just put it in the board chat.
Yeah, okay.
My bad.
No, it's not gonna show the person.
Wait, okay.
See that one, we're gonna go do it down to one, everything the census.
Yeah.
What if we join, what if I join on my laptop?
No.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
They hear us?
Yeah.
Mike,
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone speak
don't
louder.
touch anything.
Speak louder, we're down to one mic at the front, so everyone in the back.
So, did you guys hear my answer to the question? Okay, I'll say it again. I finished my draft at 3:30 a.m. and Damien finished reviewing his final wording tweaks like 2 hours ago. So this was very last minute.
You, Mohammed, go ahead.
Thank you, Darren. One last point, and this, so when I first read it, I would like, from personally, just some clarification. And just maybe some more, yeah, just some more information. So when we say, infringes upon student democracy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a key word, and I'm gonna ask you just to give me more information, because I'm interested.
Well, Mohammed, I'm so glad you asked. So as things currently stand, there are many ways for students to have their voice on how their fees works, right? One, of course, is through the board of directors and elections, right? Which all members get a chance to elect their board of directors who get to have conversations around their fees. Another is through an AMM, which is a very direct way where students can directly vote on whether or not or how their fees work. So, and there's always, of course, referendum, discussion. There's many different ways for a student to kind of make that voice known. But as it currently stands, students directly control how our fees are decided. What this does is that takes that ability and gives it to the government, right? So the government can come in, step in and decide, hey, this fee, this specific fee is not in your control. This fee is under our control. We decide whether it's opt-in or mandatory or opt-out. It's up to them now. So this gives them that ability to choose that. A similar thing was brought back in, I believe, 2019 with the Student Choice Initiative, where the government brought it in through a slightly different strategy, but in practice, the exact same outcome. The government got to decide what was and wasn't an opt-out fee. And what that led to was chaos in the post-secondary sector, unpredictability in student funding, and just general issues with students' ability to choose what they get to fund. So this in practice gives the government the exact same powers, right? So that's how it takes away student democracy, Mohammed. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? I saw one, Skylar. Thank you. All right. Any other comments?
Wrong in impactful.
Perfect. All right. We'll go to a vote. Once again, my hope is for a level of unanimity here. So we'll start with all those in favor of the bill. The motion. Oh no! Well, I don't know. There you go. All those in favor of the bill. All those in favor of the motion to oppose the bill. Please raise your hand. Right. Maricini. Okay. It should be noted, I do not think Maricini is actually present. So all those abstaining. All those against? Perfect. And it is passed unanimously. Thank you.
Give him the bill, yeah.
And that's new business.
Nice, new business.
That's new business.
All right. On that note, we have completed that section of the agenda, and we will move to section 6, general reports. starting with the executive director's report. So Suzanne, please take it away. We'll give her a second, guys.
I just gotta pull it. Real quick.
Start with the public one.
For the bill.
Yeah.
Pull up the split.
We had it out too and it's gone.
Is mine gone?
No, no, here it is.
I think
Yeah, I still have
it's
it.
under reports. It's under report.
Under report.
Report the time check.
Right there.
I'm like looking at public things.
Oh, I was looking for it as well.
Okay. I'm not sure that I have too much because whether there's anything to update. Obviously, there's a link. Just note a couple of links. There's an update on the annual plan progress. Appreciate Samir. Thank you. And if anybody else wants to do that, send me questions ahead of time. It's really helpful to get answers throughout the org. To help give you folks more detailed information, I'll say. We have the Walk Safe pilot update. It's also a link there. The trial is estimated for winter of 2026. There's an update on the harassment management and sub settings that was asked before, so that is also there. Highlight. Anything else to highlight? Hopefully everyone had a chance to read it. And as always, you can always ask me questions, but
I'm gonna speak, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead. I appreciate you.
If I don't ask a question, is it a real board meeting? I recognize Melissa's not here, and I'm assuming everything is good and wonderful there, but I do have a question regarding campus life. Has the hiring of both those managers that were new?
Yeah. Can we please focus on the public? Yes, you do.
Refunds. That's right.
wait for that one. Okay.
Mike.
Okay, sorry, Suzanne, I think you may continue.
I'm actually, I'm done. And
Oh, you're done?
I have questions. Yeah.
Okay, all right, questions for the ED on the public report.
Damien, what's your report?
I put it in.
It's a sentence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we'll get to that. Let's focus on the ED. And okay, seeing no questions for the ED, we'll move on to the president's report. Now, if you take a good look.
Give us some time. There's lots of.
Here, 1 second.
So.
Let me actually pull it out. I apologize, folks. I actually lost it.
Not much to read there, Damien.
No, I understand. Listen, it's as always, all of my stuff is in the confidential section. But I should also note, here 1 second, reports. There we go. Okay. So I do want to note kind of a failing on my part on this report, on the public section of the report. As many of you guys know, I've been falling behind a little bit on the work with the amount of hours that I'm doing. It becomes increasingly difficult to keep track of getting ahead on some of this stuff because I'm currently dealing with surviving the day to day. So that is my apology. I do want it noted that I did put a little bit more work into confidential because I thought some of that stuff was a little bit more relevant to the board than some of the public stuff, which will eventually come to boards probably anyways. I will be continuing to work on this public report and I will be announcing it when it's complete. But yes, as it currently stands, the public report is not well set out. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I would like to take a little bit of responsibility. Damien was working on his report and I quite rudely interrupted him, worked on the amendment you guys saw earlier. So I will actually take a little bit of responsibility there. It's not all Damien's fault.
I appreciate that. I should have done this days in advance.
That's got me.
Yeah, Lori, go ahead.
I just, want to thank Damien for all the hard work that he's putting in. And I again recognize the fact that the offices are very busy. And so, on behalf of all the board, I would like to motion to, thank Damien for all the work that he's putting in.
Oh, shit.
You have a seconder.
Is this real?
I don't have one again.
I appreciate that, Rory. I will not be accepting this motion. I will be taking away your right as a board.
Ruling it out of order.
I'm ruling it out of order.
Feel the chair.
But I appreciate that, and I will work to be more on top of these things in the future. Hopefully most months are not as bad as September. Okay. Any questions that people know I've done and want information on? Go ahead.
Yes, I'm just wondering if there's an update on Senate honorarium since last board meeting.
Yeah.
I will ask every board meeting.
1 second, let me. I'm trying to remember if this will be a public. This would be public.
KGM is public.
Yeah. And that's that. I have I don't have an update since the last time you asked me directly. Because that was only a few days ago. But it's fair for the public and board. Is that after a conversation with Jen, the secretariat, she actually came up to me directly to mention that the senator honorarium has not fallen off their desk. That's that they are planning to get to it. And that I do plan on sending kind of a follow-up in about a week to give her a little bit of time. It hasn't been that long since she mentioned that to me. Anything else?
Small thing, Damon.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Senate obviously just resumed. So traditionally, this is now when they would actually get stuff done, right? So we weren't probably expecting anything getting started and worked on until right now.
Probably not. From my conversation with the secretary, it seems like they were also still trying to figure out the best pathway, governance pathway to get it to that. It is possible that would come to something like board, but I imagine it might actually lie with the secretariat themselves. But that's not an official secretariat ruling. That is kind of up to them as the neutral arbiter between Senate and board. So they would figure that out. But yeah, I didn't really expect it to be able to get it by September. Anything else? Oh, we got a question in with two phrases of the report. Okay, we will move on to the VP's public report.
So I kind of did the opposite as Damien and put everything in my public report because I thought I would have a lot in confidential, but it's the same stuff that Damien has. So, September's been wild. Not only has WUSA had a lot of events, those events have also been a good opportunity to talk to students about Bill 33 and its impacts, as well as we did get WUSA and CASA visiting us during Campus Life Fair. On the WUSA end, I have completed recruitment for GA delegates, and they have been contacted today. No one at least mentioned that they're Indigenous in their applications. I don't know if we have any Indigenous delegates, but we do have delegates. The first draft of the paper that I'm authoring is done and sent back to editors for review. The new co-op student for this term has also been onboarded into that process. Having conversations about the whole process of policy development at WUSA. This is a conversation that's happening at board here. Between me and some board members who are familiar with the process at WUSA's board and between our staff and their staff as well. CASA and WUSA's campus visit went well. Students seemed really, really engaged with CASA's federal advocacy. In fact, I think the firsties this year in general are very engaged with governance and advocacy. I think all of my business cards have been taken by firsties at Campus Life Fair. Lots of people expressed interest in running in our elections as well. CASA and the Union Étudiante de Québec have submitted their pre-budget submission, which has 6 big asks about students. We are preparing to pick out one of those to turn into a mini campaign, which WUSA will probably take part in because I will be leading the mini campaign. Hopefully that will be fun. APC did not meet in July. APC did not meet in August and September. We did meet at the very end of July. You guys have seen the updates from that already, and we will get more into general referendum updates and confidential. Bill 33 response, we got almost 400 signatures so far. The Welcome Week events were helpful. We also have 2 more campus visits to our satellite campuses and 3 boothing sessions in the SLC marketplace. So hopefully we get some more signatures. Also, I have just been showing up to events with copies of the petition. There is also a coalition that has formed between CASA, WUSA, OSV, and CSA, which is encouraging students to write letters to their representatives calling for the repealing of section 21.1, which is specifically the part about fees in universities and colleges. That's the public part of the coalition. They're also working on some GR lobbying kind of private meetings part with the goal of getting the section repealed or sending the entire bill to committee so that we can ask for that section to be repealed. And also exciting ION in Cambridge things that the advocacy team will also be bringing to our campus visit in Cambridge this week.
Question.
Could you just expand on the ION part? What happened at the stakeholder workshop?
Yeah, so the region's GRT staff has completed the initial business case for the phase 2 expansion, which is they looked at some options for expansion. So it's full LRT, full BRT, or 3 different partial LRT options.
Sorry, what is BRT?
Bus rapid transit. So it would be the route of the ION with separated bus lanes, but they're buses, which are not as, buses don't have as much swag, and that seems to be the opinion of the stakeholders as well. It's basically like they've looked at the options, they're presenting the options to the public. After that, they will kind of narrow down the options and look at funding.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, 2 things. So, one, what is SANA?
Oh, Santa is the new co-op student.
I was thinking capital Yemen. I was wondering why we were sending people there. Okay, second thing. So on the Bill 33 response, you said there's a coalition between CASA, OSB, and CSA. So this is like a public sort of bringing together these separate orgs for the purpose of collecting signatures.
No, the signatures is kind of just something WUSA is doing. They are more focused on getting students to email their MPPs.
I just want to add.
Okay.
Is that because these are official petitions by the MPPs. I think usually we need it to be from the constituents of the MPP, which makes it much more difficult on that high level. So
Yeah, so they do need to be collected by writing and also signed on paper, no photocopies. So it does make it difficult for everyone to do at the same time. I think, we have the capacity here at WUSA to really push that in-person signing drive, but in general, it's much easier to do like an online letter writing campaign.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
okay. I think we are good to go then onto director's reports. I would ask we keep these concise and only relevant to the board as a whole. I do see a hand up at the end over there.
First of all, I'm gonna quickly say that I say for the last 4 months I've been saying, well, September is when I start to get busy, and that prediction has come true. With Senate and BOG meeting again. Ultimately, I'm just going to give a quick update to the board as to the events of yesterday's Senate meeting, just because Sorry, Damien, I presume we're gonna talk about them.
No, my laptop just ran out of battery, so I knew, I had a feeling you'd bring it up and it's fine in public, so I talked about other stuff.
Yeah, all right.
Confidential.
No, a couple of points of interest, the arts faculty restructuring passed and so on. But I think particularly what might be interesting to board is a comment from JPIR Charmaine Dean that the Technion the agreement is likely they do not plan to renew it. Particularly what I wanted to mention the board for the
I'll just remind you that this is the public session, so
yes.
talk about the stuff you want public. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Particularly, and I think this is fine for the public session. Particularly what I would like to inform board is that I was reached out to by Imprint for a comment about that in specifically my capacity as a student senator. I felt that was prudent to mention to board just because of, things around commentating on these things. And that was actually why I was late to this meeting. I did meet with Imprint earlier to provide that comment, but that was only after meeting with Jill and Hannah, the prepare of that meeting and define what I was going to say. And obviously that comment was strictly in my capacity as a student senator and not in my capacity as a WUSA board member or on the board.
Yeah. Very, very exciting update. Lots of drama at Senate. Any other questions or director reports or anything like that that's relevant to the board as a whole, like that one was? Oh, that's exciting. All right. Well, on that note, we are going to be moving into confidential session, which means, Mike, I will ask you if you can move us in. Good time.
Back it off.
We need to go after her to give me access to the.
Okay, Katie, would you like to give your announcements and then we can adjourn?
Yes, it'll be super quick, I promise. I mentioned it in the board chat quite a while earlier, so I'll put some reminders in the chat as well. But I am looking for some student connections that can discuss their own personal experiences to issues with exam supports, weighted exams, issues with accessibility, accommodations. So that's the first ask. And if you know anyone, please direct them to me. I'll put more information in the chat again about what it's about. And then second announcement is that I did arrange a campus plan presentation and workshop from the campus plan team. It's on the 22nd of October. I sent an invite to all of the board member emails and also invited some of the senior leadership team. The goal of it is to look at the current master plan that they have prepared and critique it and improve it. So I would encourage everyone to attend because it's a good information sharing session and a good opportunity to kind of be involved in this consultation process. So that's all for me. Put more info in the chat later.
Thank you, Katie. Do you really need to ask a question?
Good night, Nush.
All right.
Are you sure he's there?
He's not here. So.
It's tradition.
So on that note, the meeting is adjourned at 9:58.
I was told to.
We're still at 9. We're still at 9.
I guess.
Till the day I leave board, I will say
Melody went.
no complaining. I don't have